What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Escape the 4Z, and we are back with the Kings of Sinks competition. It's the 4th annual Kings of Sinks competition. I am here with the Season 3 winner of this competition, Dr. Jaden. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, guys.
It's good to have you here, man. And in Season 4, it gets bigger and better, man. 67 competitors entered this competition, and we have 56 official submissions here. So 56 guys from around the world are going to have a chance to fight for a title. But before we get into that, I do want to kind of highlight the guys that did not finish. It hurts me to do this, but we always have to do this every single year. But these guys did not finish their sinks. We do have Sink Jackley, Yami Hero, On to Mike. I can't say the first part of his name. We got Kak, Duck GS, Vua Troy, who actually did not finish his sink. This is actually a huge surprise to me. I thought
he did have exams coming, so he told me beforehand, so it's understandable. Thank you for competing, though.
Yeah, thank you for signing up, though, Troy. Big plays there. And then we do have Demons, RYU, Nitrix, Banana Man, great name, and Mr. Creepa. And I also want to give a shout out. Crize also did not finish his sync, but shout out to Crize. I know he's over in Puerto Rico right now, and things are not going super hot over there. Some people are still without electricity over there. So all of our prayers go out to all of our Puerto Rican friends, and especially Crize. So with that, we also want to thank all the gun sinkers in this competition for sending in submissions and signing up and competing. So thank you guys.
I personally know about the huge stress that you guys undertake in this ordeal. And me personally, I did feel depression while working on my round 1 sync. So I do understand how hard it is just to make a sync for this competition. All this pressure going on you. Shut up. Anyways, I do appreciate for all the hard work you've done. Even though it's not your best sync, we do thank you for making this competition possible.
Yeah, it was nothing without you guys, man, and all around me are familiar.
You're doing this now.
Okay. Let's move on. All right. We can't meme this shit in the beginning. All right, so finishing in, there's actually a tie for 55th place here. For Mad Dog and Wilco Whiteheart, finishing off with 16 points each. So starting off with Wilco's submission here, I do have to say he did go for the CSGO moving sync here, although a lot of issues with this sync in particular. I would say right off the bat, the chroma keying is really bad in this sync. And
yeah, you did have a few actual green screens in there which you didn't quite chroma key, so you want to check on your sloppiness. Yeah, and then checking over onto Mad Dog's submission, we did see that Mad Dog actually did go for the Battlefield 4 approach here, which is quite interesting here. Although, I do have to say that this sync was pretty sloppy, and the accuracy of this sync could have been improved. What do you think, Jaden? All right, so onto Wilco's sync. I do have to see there's a lot of things. I'll go on to Mad Dogs after I finish up Wilco's feedback. But first off, I just like to say that your sync overall is kind of messy. It could have been organized and cleaned up in certain places. It's offbeat ultimately. So if you do find yourselves having problems with keeping your syncs on beat, then try to use the BPM generator. Just look up what the BPM of the song you're syncing is. Just put it on properties on Sony Vegas or whatever program you use to edit, and just put the BPM. It's so much easier. I personally use it all the time. That way, you don't constantly have to just guess and pick which waveforms are which note length. Also, man, come on. The Bandicam watermark. You could have at least cropped that out, man.
Dude, free promotion, bitches!
Oh my god, dude. Come on, man. You can do better than that. Anyways, yeah, that did particularly bother me.
Yeah, I mean, free promotion, man. You gotta get it back.
That's true. At least he's being honest.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out to you for not pirating that. But use OBS, man. OBS is the future.
Stay in OBS, kids.
All right. No, I'm still on Wilco's sync. There were some song transitions that were smooth, but the sync ultimately cuts off prematurely at a very bad time. So, if you are going to eventually cut off a sync, make sure you do it on the right place at the right time. Because if you cut it out while it's still at its climax or peak, it just doesn't feel good. You just have that build up, but no release.
You made that sound really sexual real quick.
Well, it's up to how you interpret it as Escape, so it's not a me problem as much as it is a you problem. All right, let's move on to Mad Dog. Yeah. All right.
So, what do you think about Mad Dog Sync, my dude?
All right, let's talk about your intro. Your intro was solid. Everything was relatively on beat, but then it got really messy and offbeat during the build-up. Particularly, the guns were a bit too quiet. Come on. You do want to find that unique balance between the guns and the volume, and I know a lot of you are scared of having the guns be way too loud, or like it might sound jarring compared to the music, but we need to hear the guns or else we have nothing to judge. That's just the period of it. Personally, what I thought, the drop was boring. It had a lot of potential for the song. There were a lot of notes you could have hit, but you just went with the simple patterns. I mean, you did try to be unique with the visuals with the angled corner guns, which I did like. You tried to like take it in a unique direction, but like it didn't add too much to the fact that audio-wise, it wasn't that on beat and that clean. So there were also some weird song cutoffs. There was also the weird song cutoff here problem here too. So it could have been done a little better, but yeah. All right, let's check out what the other judges had to say about this. Escape.
Well, we do see that, according to Nerdbox here, he said the mixing is extremely inconsistent, major accuracy issues throughout. The gun choice was not bad. It could have been a little bit better, maybe experiment around with some of the Battlefield weapons, because a lot of them have a lot of different variety of sounds where he could have maybe mixed in some different sounds, tried something different. And he said that clips have silence before the gunshot, creating a silence shutter before the notes. And that he says that appears at the 30-second marker, and the song choice is not technically, I would say, it seems like more of a not as a more simplified sync if you think about it. Like the song choice made this sync really more so on the simple side, which is kind of why the sync is also on the lower tier scoring here compared to perhaps the rest of the syncs that are out there.
I agree. I do agree.
All right, I've been looking forward to this part, man. The build-up's just been absolutely huge. So finishing in very nice. Finishing in 54th place here with a solid total of 17.19. We have the one, the only Trolendus. Hey, he finished his fucking sync. Oh yes.
Let's all give a round of applause for this gentleman right here. I am proud of you, Trolendus. This is actually a very huge margin of improvement, you know? He went from 0 points to 17 points, man. I mean, you gotta give him credit. Most improved award right there, dude. Most improved award. Okay.
Yep, most improved Syncer of the Year award goes to Trolendus.
Alright, let's get down to brass tacks with this one. Let's see. During your sync, when you do get to your Zenyatta part, spewing orbs endlessly does not necessarily mean it's amazing. I mean, you could have it for some like note parts and some melodies, but you just can't substitute it for actual syncing. So like, don't use that as your like cop-out card. What else could we use? What the heck was with the heavy kick bass? Yeah, that was a little too hard on your part with the Lucio thing going on and then everything else. The Bastion part, oh, I did like the speed marks. It did add a little bit of tastefulness to the meme. Honestly, you didn't execute it well. It was just off-key and everything. Off-beat and off-key. While I did say it could be any length, I honestly thought this sync was too short. So what do you think, Escape?
Well, I do have to say that sync was extreme. Like, the fact that the sync was extremely short, right, was... I thought it was a kind of a big issue. I mean, I'm not sure about how the rest of the judges felt about this, but the sync was about 30 seconds, 40 seconds of actual syncing, right? And yeah. I just think that usually an average short sync would be at least a minute and a half, and you kind of just missed the mark there. And I also want to go over what Nerdbox said here as well. Nerdbox was saying about Trolendus, song choice gave you a score of a 10. However, I don't need to say much else. So there's the wise words of Nerdbox. And we also have some words from Gravity said, this is more of a meme than anything. He said, why is this even in here?
He ultimately didn't put a score, so I just gave you a 2 from his perspective, so.
Yeah, there you go. But overall, Trolendus, one last round of applause, man. You finished your thing.
Respect. Shit, well mad respect.
Holding up Egypt, boy. Yay. Okay.
Yeah, all right. That is Trolendus coming in 54th place with 17.19 points.
All right, so we're going to be moving on to the 53rd position here. We do have finishing with 21.9 points. We have H1D3M. And this guy actually did a Advanced Warfare CSGO sync. And honestly, like in the beginning, I thought that, why is this sync even down here? But the big issue really comes in at around the 38, 39 second marker. At least this is kind of what I was observing. And it was just kind of that audio balance that it once had in kind of like the beginning. Like it sounded really good. The audio balance just kind of went to shit at this stage right here. And not to mention, I mean, not huge points were taken off. At least, I mean, I wasn't judging. So there wouldn't be huge points for me taken off for this point here, but the split screen thing they did was a little bit on the inconsistent side, and there's just a big black screen on the left there, just chilling there, and same with the right at certain times. I mean, it wasn't big points to me. Maybe other judges mentioned that, but it just a little bit. It kind of just wastes the space of the screen there. You know, he could have put something more interactive there to kind of make it a little bit more interesting there. But Jaden, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I do agree. Well, personally, I thought the sync did a lot better than it did. Like, although it wasn't like qualifying round, like, did he really deserve 53rd place? I mean, his intro I thought was solid. Like, he did do a lot of better than the other people like in this tier of syncing, but I don't know. It could just be because I'm biased towards CSGO, because his rhythm wasn't that off, and his CSGO, his green screen chroma keying was done fairly well. But let's see. While I did very much enjoy the intro, the drop was boring, honestly. You didn't properly execute the sprays because it looked like half the guns weren't actually shooting, so work on your visuals there, buddy. And honestly, if you do stick to CSGO syncs, you did that part a lot better, so you have a lot of potential in that market, so what I have to say is don't give up. But yeah.
Never surrender, my dude. Never surrender. And coming in from Nerdbox once again, we are going to use Nerdboxes for most of these just because he's really the one judge that really put in most of the, I would say, the descriptive judging here. But Nerdbox coming in with his input on this guy H1. He said, the layout is very, very crude. The mix is very low, and I can't discern much about accuracy, but what I can hear is poor. Very short sync, sprays, loose frames are everywhere, and it's not very well executed. And that is from coming in from the wise words of the box.
The one and only.
The one and only, man. So with that, we're going to move on to position 52 with a solid 22.1, beating out 53rd place by 0.2 points. And that's just how close these points are going to be, just as a heads up, guys. But finishing 52nd, we have Tony, 250. Hey, forget about it, huh? So Tony coming in. He actually tried to do Titanfall, too, which is actually... Not many people really try to not many people try to utilize this, although I have to say, from a personal note, the CCs on this sync were actually quite nice, especially in the beginning. I mean,
I like those flares. I do enjoy those flares.
That was very nice, but just the kind of the accuracy and the presentation of the sync is definitely something that can be improved. And I'm not sure if this is just me or not, but is there certain spots where resample is not disabled, or am I just losing my mind?
Honestly,
I feel like there's certain spots.
I can't tell because I'm not experienced. I always just leave my resample on, but my sync sound as what they are, so I'm not sure if it's a big aspect or portion of it, but it could affect the accuracy of the sync just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I may or may not have noticed. Maybe just for like one clip or something. But overall, looking at what Tony was doing, a decent sync. I'd say the big highlight, though, of this sync was definitely the visuals. He definitely focused a little bit too much on the visuals compared to, I'd say, the audio quality of the sync, the audio balancing, where maybe the sprays could have been improved just a little bit. Although I will say this, the drop at 47 was not too bad. It actually flowed pretty well for parts of it there. Yeah, it was actually pretty decent. Like, it could have been improved a little bit more, but compared to the rest of the sync, it was the best part of the sync in terms of the accuracy part.
Okay, I'll just throw in my 2 cents. For this sync, it was offbeat from the start, so your guns do need to ensure that accuracy is the most important part of this competition, because if you're not accurate, you're not going to go far. So, as I said before, you could use the BGM technique, as I mentioned earlier, or just try to read waveforms a bit well. So, like, just make sure you focus on the accuracy before anything else. So, It was also pretty jarring to hear. It could have been just the song or the gun choice, but I didn't personally enjoy listening to this. Your knife throws were a bit random because like they didn't really add anything on top of the sync. Like sure, they may have added a little bit of variety, but it didn't flow with the melody of the song. I heard a lot going on in the song. You could have like synced those parts, but you just did the percussion and the wubs and just honestly took the easy way. So even though this is round 1, you should still like put in a little more effort. So like just try to make sure that all aspects of the song are taken care of so that your song can be have more complexity and be more synchronized, as we shall say. Escape?
All right, so looking into, we're going to be looking at some of our judges. Nerdbox did say, we're going back to Nerdbox once again, and he did say that there's a lot of clipping distortion in this particular segment. I have to agree with that as well. That was the issue that I was looking at. I thought that there was a disable resample issue, but it looks like it's clipping distortion according to Nerdbox here. And
I do see
apparently and there's accuracy issues throughout. There's good gun choices, like some of the gun choices are quite nice. And I think that's, with the drop, I'd say the 46-second marker, the gun choice is quite nice. And he also said, first J-Core entry I've seen, which is basically outlining that he likes the song choice. Nerdbox liked the song that Tony chose. And I have to say, Tony did choose a very unique song compared to a lot of the sinkers out there. And that's definitely a note that will definitely come into handy as
I will give him props for being unique in that sense, yeah.
All right, so moving on to the man who finished 51st place, the man with 22.8 points. That is Acer Gaming, who actually did, his song that he did was actually one of my favorite songs. Actually, PS Box 1 synced this a long time ago. I can't even say synced properly, but he actually synced Memories. I'm not sure if you remember that song, but love that song in particular. And looking at Acer's sync itself, I'd say there was a decent amount of issues in this sync. One of them being certain gun choices just did not really mix well with the sync, upon the exception of the beginning where he actually used the I'm not sure if that's like a wall, just like you just building a wall or something.
That's putting in a fortification. It does have a unique sound, so.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice sound there, and I definitely liked that. And I would say the sprays is definitely the biggest issue. And Rainbow Six is one of those games where the sprays is really hard to actually put out there. Like it's really hard to sync Rainbow Six Siege with sprays, and that's what one of Acer's biggest issues was the sprays. Although
I did also put that in my feedback, yes.
And then I'd also say that the audio balance is off too, and there's just a lot of frame skips in this particular sync.
I do agree. There were a lot of frame skips. What I do have to say about your intro was the fact that it was just a generic slow motion intro. Like, come on, that's like the easiest intro to do. So like, when you are in this competition, you want to add something a little bit. Like, add cinematics. That's a little bit better, but just doing slow-mo intros, man, you got to do something a little better than that. You did miss a lot of possible notes. As I said earlier, the same problem.
A lot of missed potential, man. A lot of missed potential for sure.
Exactly. You want to make sure that you pay attention to the melody, possible, like, extra added percussion. Just don't stick with a basic kick and snare line. What else did I say? Build-up was hype, though. I did like... As Escape said earlier, I did enjoy the fact where you were putting the fortification. That was a really good touch on your sync.
Amen to that.
Yeah, but the drop, honestly, was a bit of a downer. It was too quiet. Yeah. You couldn't hear the guns properly. And the fact it was offbeat on top of the frame skips. And it was honestly a generic sync. I mean, nice try, but yeah, it's KOS, so.
Yeah, and Gravity also said similar things to Acer. He said frame skips are present, the drop was out of sync, and he also mentioned that the sprays were damn near inaudible, which is definitely what I was talking about earlier, where Rainbow Six sprays are definitely really hard to sync, and if anybody could do it successfully.
I mean, Jabber's one of the few people who can do it, so props to that, man.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure, man. So with that, we're going to be moving on to the 50th position. We're in the top 50, boy. Here we go. So
yes.
Finishing in 50th place with 23.9 points, the British sinker Salaturi, I believe is his name.
I think so. I think that's how you pronounce.
Yeah, if I botched that, I do heavily apologize. I am so sorry. I'm just terrible with names. You know the fucking girl. So we do have Salvatore, who actually went for the song Swarm VIP, and he actually decided to go with a multi-COD or multi-game, a multi-game approach with this, which is quite interesting. And I have to say that there was a couple parts that I did like that were quite interesting. Although, really big issue that I see right off the bat. Disable resample. He did not disable resample, and I noticed it at the 20-second marker right off the bat.
Yeah, that is pretty important.
So yeah, and if you guys don't know, disable resample is when the clip gets kind of ghosted. So like it kind of layers above one another. The two clips kind of get layered one above the other, or the same clip gets layered on each other. So and that's why you see kind of like that when there's a movement, then you could really see the ghosted like movement. So there was that there, and then I'd say that the drop just wasn't really as clean as I thought it would be, and there was just a lot of changes through the CC, and there was certain CCs that worked that were quite nice, and there was just other CCs that just didn't really work for me. Like it just doesn't look that great. And then the accuracy of the sync was, I should say, the potential of the sync was mediocre. A lot of missed beats, a lot of missed potential with this particular sync.
Exactly. Going off of that, that's exactly what I put down in my feedback as well. There were a lot of missed notes in that. Guns during the Fortnite section were just too quiet. Like, I literally could not hear anything, so it was nearly impossible for me to judge that aspect for accuracy or anything for that. And there were a couple sections in your sync where it was just a literal copy paste for 30 seconds. I mean, yeah, sure. If it is a repetitive part of the song, then at least like add a little bit of variety. So it could just be an additional reload, maybe a knife swipe, anything to just add a little bit more of a spice or twist onto it. So just so that you can just keep the viewer engaged and to keep it more unique. Your logo was way too big and way too much of a contrast. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that your logo isn't actually distracting to the elements of the sync. So like if that just means that you have to make it smaller just for KOS, then that's perfectly fine. Just make sure your logo doesn't take away from the actual sync experience. Also,
I definitely agree with that. And then although I mean I wouldn't take necessarily points off for that unless it covers the entire screen. But yeah, I definitely agree that
it was distracting. Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly. And you did cut off this. Oh wait, I didn't finish. You did cut off the song at a bad time. So you did like cut it off during a climactic part. Like at least finish that climactic part, even if you have to copy and paste. But just make sure you don't end the list viewer at a bad note. So even though you did have to go through exams, Salvatore, I don't know, just try to like follow through to the end at least. I do know that life takes precedence over this art, but yeah, just make sure you just try to put your best.
And then looking at what some of the other judges said, we actually have some stuff said from TBG. He actually said some nice words here. He was basically saying missing beats and some inaccuracies, and the ending was not smooth at all, which is going according to what you were saying earlier, where the end is just, it kind of just cut out, and then just boom, it hits you, and you're just like, what the hell just happened, you know? It
exactly.
Just happened out of nowhere. In the meantime, here we do have a next sinker. We do have the next sinker. We're going to be moving on here. So finishing in 49th place, we do have Jack Gamer finishing off with 24.6 points. And Jack Gamer going with the meme sync approach here. We actually have quite a bit of meme syncs in this. The Bozzy Mind song, the You So Fucking Precious. You know that song.
Yeah. So, I hear it all the time on the radio, man.
Yep,
it's drilled into my head.
Absolutely overplayed. But I'd say with this sync, the biggest issue, lots of missed potential. It just seems so basic. It was just a very basic sync where this guy could have added more, and the accuracy was not too bad. I thought the accuracy was quite nice. The accuracy, like it was pretty good, but the sync could have definitely had some more kind of oomph to it. You know,
yeah.
It could have a repetitive type song like this, you want to make every beat count, because if it's repetitive, you got to make sure to add the necessary beats and get it up there. And I would just say in general, maybe implement different games when doing these meme songs as well. Definitely something just to keep in mind.
Yes, well, in some aspects I do agree, but however, I don't think that it was the sync necessarily that was holding him back. I do think it was the actual song choice. Like, when you do listen to this song, just period, there isn't a lot of percussion. There's just that basic kick line. There's some lyrics that you can sync off of, but like really that's it. So for my advice for you, Jack Gamer, I would say try to find like a trap remix or dubstep remix or something like that. Just something that adds on top of the song so that you have more stuff to work with. Because if you just work with a bass pop song, you honestly can't go many directions from that. But because people who remix songs add on to that, you have more stuff to work with. So that's what I would recommend for that and all your future endeavors. The gun volume balancing could have been better because there were certain guns that were way too loud and others that were just way too quiet. So yeah, it was pretty distracting in that aspect. And even though the lyrics were alright, it doesn't mask the fact that the sync itself was kind of boring to watch. So even though I am a fan of chill syncs, it does have to make up with the complexity score. So one single gun screen isn't gonna cut it, buddy. You gotta have at least maybe 2 or 3 for chill syncs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Although I would say that maybe he can like just experiment with just different songs, just more dynamic songs. It doesn't have to be just necessarily trap or anything like that. I just say just in general.
Any remix if you do like that particular song.
Yeah, and looking into what Nerdbox said, we are going to use Nerdboxes for this because I really like what he said here. Topography was simple but effective, which was quite nice. Although he said the emojis are a no-no in my book. Make your watermark smaller and nestle it into the corner more, or move it to the corner. Basically, that's what he's saying there. And sync was very simple as a result of a simplistic song choice. Sync was short. So that is, once again, the wise words of the box.
The box.
So moving on, we actually do have a tie for 47th here. Believe it or not, there's actually quite a bit of ties, so we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Both of these sinkers finished off with 26 points. We have Wing and Diana Boy.
Dyna Boy? I think it's Dyna Boy. Like Dyna Boy.
Dyna Boy. Oh, okay. Like that. Okay, got it. I got it. So, starting off with Wing's sync, this is going to be the first one that I'm going to be covering here. Wing's sync, in the beginning, I don't know what that graphic thing was in the beginning. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or anything, but just when it's the sync, it just looks really choppy. It looks like it's in 144p, but it's not, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do see the effect he was going for, but I just thought it was distracting. I couldn't watch that part because it did actually like hurt my eyes. So stay away from those effects, boys and girls.
Yeah, the CC, honestly, the CCs were fine in my opinion. Like the CCs were good, but yeah, that beginning part was kind of mediocre. But then once he gets into it, the overall CC and presentation of the sync is a little bit better. And although I have to say this, the transition between 20, I believe it's 27, 28, around there. Yeah, 28 seconds or around there. That transition's quite sexy. That is a very nice transition. Although, another big issue that happens is during the cinematic reel, at the 38 marker, it just freezes. The cinematics just kind of freeze and just sit there. I'm not sure what the whole purpose of
could be a rendering issue. I'm not sure.
Yeah, a little bit of advice, Wing. You know, make sure to check your rendering settings there. Make sure that the rendering settings are tip-top shape and ready to go, and whatever the hell your computer can handle. Don't do something that your computer can't handle. But I would say overall that the transition though was very fucking sexy. That was one of the sexiest transitions. Actually, I have to say it was one of the sexier transitions in this competition, with the exception. There was others that had some really good ones in this one, but that transition, super nice. What about you, James?
What I thought, as we mentioned earlier, I did not enjoy the beginning things. First impressions are super important because that's going to set the precedence of what a judge is going to feel about the sync. So if your sync is amazing, but it just has that bad first 10 seconds, then you do have yourself onto a rough start. So just make sure your start is good, because like as you...
He definitely put himself in the hole early. That's what I was going to say.
It was because of the bad effects choice and the fact that it was choppy and offbeat. So just make sure your first part is perfect, the best part of your sync. What else did I say? The guns during the drop were definitely offbeat, especially the RPG. That if the RPG wasn't offbeat, then it could have actually been a decent sync. So like, just make sure you know how to read waveforms and when to know when the peak needs to go into a certain position. So just make sure you practice that a little bit more. Although the drop was done alright rhythmically, so I do have to say that. you chose the wrong guns and sprays. So although you do want to go for a variety kind of style, you do have to make sure that it actually has to sound like it fits like a glove. And your sync just didn't pull that off. So you do have to experiment with that a little bit. Although it might be a lot of work, it's ultimately worth it in the end. Because personally for me, I honestly don't like get the first like 10 seconds of one of my syncs done until like 2 hours of passive experimenting. So experimentation is very important to know which sounds just snap and fit like a glove. And just a couple last things. The Zen Orbs didn't really add anything. Like I know it's like a common like cheat tactic for syncers to like cop out on syncs, but like just try not to do it. Add a little bit of variety onto that. I did, however, enjoy the fact that the second drop was a little bit different and varied compared to the first drop, because most of the syncs over in this category tend to have copy and pasted their first drop onto their second. So I give you props for that, man.
Yeah, and looking at what TBG said, he just said loads of inaccuracies. So yeah, the big issue, especially for me, I'd say for this sync just had a lot of accuracy issues. It just wasn't. There's just a lot of guns just did not fit where it was supposed to go. Although I will say that the effort putting into trying to do a different variety was quite nice. I do like that, and that's better than being just repetitive, at least in my opinion. But just the sounds just did not ultimately match. So that is going to be my big thing that I do want to mention for Wing. And then moving on to Dynaboy. Dynaboy, yes. So moving on to his sync, he actually had a very, very interesting approach in the beginning with the, I believe he was reloading a pistol. I'm not sure who was.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the Overwatch characters.
Mercy.
Yeah, it was Mercy. The pistol reload in the beginning, that was very nice. That sounded really nice, at least in my personal opinion. But there's just a lot of guns that just did not really fit in with some of the sounds. Although I will say this. At the 25-second marker, 24-second marker, 25 seconds. I love the placement of, I mean, this is kind of like a small note, but I love the placement of the minigun and the two other weapons in the center. Like, just
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It looks really cool. Like, it's just a natural look. Like, he didn't move the screen. He didn't do anything like that. All he did was put a mirror effect on those two weapons, and he got the minigun in the middle, and it actually sounded quite nice the way he was synced it up.
Yeah, but I mean that effect, that cut and crop effect could have been done a little bit smoother. Like add a little bit of fade, because I was able to see like where the outlines of your scissor tool were. So just make sure you have that on fade. Try to make sure that border is not as noticeable as it was. All right.
And also I want to mention too. Not sure why he put in the thank you for watching in the psych, and he kind of delayed it that long. It was a little bit of a
It was a joke, but it was long. Yeah, I do agree. All right.
Yeah, if it's like a second or two, then like it makes a little bit more sense to maybe do that. But that was just something that I also wanted to notice as well. But I'd say that the other outlying issues, just accuracy issues in some places, more so towards the drop area, but it wasn't too bad. Actually, this sync was quite enjoyable, at least in my opinion. I quite liked it.
I do. All right, are you done?
I was just gonna go to what other judges were.
All right, let me get through my feedback first. The intro, personally, I thought it was a banger. Like that was one compared to all the other syncs. I thought this intro was one of the best on comparison to like H1D3Ms, but yeah, I really enjoyed the rhythm and the feel of that. I do agree with the Bastion and Orisa part. That part was also well done. You had a good concept in your mind, but execution could have done a little bit of work. Just make sure that your cutting is a little bit more smoother in that sense. The visuals weren't atrocious, but honestly, CC and other filters could have been done a little bit better. Your transitions could have used a little bit more work, but I can't see that you do have that power in you to like ensure that all of that is executed well. But Jesus Christ, man, make sure the guns are louder during the drop. I mean, if I did want to hear the song, I would have just gone to Dubstep Gutter, but that's what I was feeling from the sync, man. Like your guns were just too quiet for me to even judge properly. So if I knew this, it wouldn't have that been mixed. So that third song, yeah, you did was slightly offbeat. I did like the ideas of the knuckles, like synchronizing with like those bells, but it got stale after the first 3 seconds. Like, you can't just keep repeating that. You do have to add a couple more elements onto that to make sure the viewer's on their toes. Parts of the Range Rover were a bit offbeat. Probably could have done better, honestly. And if you just had your sync be the first point, 46 seconds, you would have scored higher. But yeah.
So looking into Diana Boy's review from Nerdbox, he was saying questionable gun choices in places, accuracy issues throughout, and mix was all over the place. That is the words from Nerdbox that he put in to summarize that sync. So with that, we're going to be moving on to the guy who finished 46th place, who finished off with 27.7 points, and that is Pete B. Bros, who actually did...
I think it's Pit B. Bros.
Pit B. Bros, yeah. Sorry. Kind of screwed the name. Like I said, I'm bad with names. But this guy actually did a Five Nights at Freddy's sync. He did Break My Mind, which is a really popular song among many ever since... PS1.
Too popular.
And Game Nut as well. But looking at the review of the sync, I mean, this is kind of just a small note from me. I mean... To be honest, the anime approach that he had in the beginning there, I mean, because I could tell that's fucking anime. There's no way. It's gotta be anime. But I know it's crazy. But I don't watch anime myself. But anyways, look, the anime intro in the beginning actually made sense. The beginning of that song, I'm actually quite surprised how well that actually fit in. I mean, that's just like more so like a minor. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought it fit in. But
yeah, I personally didn't like it, but I guess you're entitled to your own opinion.
Okay, but moving on to the actual sync now. I mean, the whole beginning, that was just a part of, just to fuck around with that. But in terms of the accuracy of sync, I like the accuracy of the sync, but the biggest issue for me is variety. There's just no variety in the sync. It's just shotgun, pistol, shotgun, or sometimes pistol. There's just 3 shotguns that are used, and then maybe the sniper. And the accuracy is quite good, but just no variety, you know? Like
exactly. On top of that, it sounds just like every other single Break My Mind sync there is. Like, I mean, not only did you use the same generic game, Advanced Warfare 4, but you used almost the exact same background as Game Nut. Like, it did sound like almost like a carbon copy.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what TBG said as well. He said sort of a copy of Game Nut sync, which was more transformative. So
exactly,
just that's pretty much the big thing with this sync. It was a good sync. It's just
it's mediocre at best. It was boring, honestly.
Yeah, just no variety, man. And there's nothing really more that could be said about that. So moving on to the man who finished 45th. We're gonna just keep breezing by through this because we're going kind of slow. So we're gonna speed this up a little bit. But finishing up in 45th place with a total of 28.2 points, we have Shiro, who was competing in last year's competition, and he is back once again. And he actually did the songs, I believe, Waiting for You. I believe it was Coyote Kisses.
Yes.
I believe that's artist of that. And
I like that song.
Very cool song. I like the song choice for sure. That's definitely a good start. Not many people picked, I don't think anybody else picked Coyote Kisses for the first part.
It's a good song.
That's a bonus for me in particular. But in terms of the sync itself, the beginning was quite nice. I really liked the beginning, and although I would say the black bars may be a little bit obnoxious, but I think that the formation of the black bars quite unique. I'm not sure if it's not like just a traditional just straight through the screen. It's on an angle, and it actually made the sync, like if you look at the sync from a different perspective, it actually looks cool. At least
I see.
What do you think, Jaden?
Well, I honestly thought that this sync did a lot better than the other ones in the range. Like, it honestly deserved to be in a higher place than this, but like, I guess me personally included and all our other judges just get like nauseous at the sight of Advanced Warfare because we've seen it so many times. So just try to pick other games other than Advanced Warfare because at this point it's just becoming bland. Well, your CC was really good in the beginning, but like then after the drop, it just looked like it gave up on life. Like, please, man.
All around me are familiar.
Not again.
I had to. I'm sorry.
Oh well, please, man. During the drop, that's a hideous shade of gray. Like, add a little bit of color, man. Like, not that shade of gray. Yeah.
Like, put a little bit of color. Don't like make it obnoxious, but like, you see how you did the CC in 35. Do something like that, or maybe even just carry over the CC. That would have been.
It was a good CC, and then it was a bad shade of gray.
And I also have to say that there's a lack of variety in this thing too. Once again, at least the first like 80% of the sink. The first 80% of the sink had variety. Then you just try to insert variety at the last like 10%, which I'd say that variety was definitely probably the single biggest issue with this particular sink. And coming in from Nerdbox, he does say that the black bars are wonky, but I personally thought they were cool. Interesting way of using the black bars, quite unique. Strong start, but then just the sink kind of dissipates. That's what Nerdbox was saying, pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah, and just one final point. I also did say that the drop was very boring. Like, it was just literally your build-up sped up with maybe a couple of guns inserted in there. Like, add a little bit of variety. I mean, come on, Shiro. On a personal note, I've seen better work from you.
I agree. Definitely did not put up the fullest potential.
It did not bias my score, but it's kind of a bummer, man. Oh well.
Yeah, I agree. I was expecting better personally myself too, considering where he finished last year. He just finished outside the group stages. But moving on, we are going to be going to the 44th position here. We have
Hoi Huan.
Hoi Huan. Hoi Huan. That sounds fun to say. Actually.
Hoi Huan Dig.
Juan Dig.
You should have done yes.
Juan finished with 29.5 points, just outside the 30-point marker. A little bit unfortunate there, but all is good. But I do have to say, at least this is just my opinion, but this sink deserved to be scored a little bit higher.
Really?
Is at least just, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of lack of variety with some of it, and maybe the sprays could have been a little bit louder, but I personally thought that this could be a little bit higher. The War Machine usage in the beginning was quite nice. I really liked that. And then the sync was relatively accurate. Maybe the audio balancing could be a little bit better, especially with the sprays, like I was saying before. And the CC usage here was interesting.
Did you notice the CC during the scanner part? The one where like it had like those like electric lights outlines during the scanner part.
Yeah, no, I saw that. That was actually quite interesting too.
That was really cool, what I have to say. Like, although it wasn't executed perfectly, I think we could be looking into another era of CC similar to like Topsy, because I've never seen that before, but that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely a good creative aspect. And personally, I thought this sync had, for the little creativity that you could put into it, at least for the beginning of it, I thought that the creativity that this syncer put in was quite nice. It was a very nice addition. Maybe add a little bit more variety. Maybe add, the audio bouncing and stuff like that. But like I said, I thought this was, like I said, this sync is a little bit underrated, at least in my opinion. But
I do agree a little bit. Personally, I thought you could have varied the intro a little bit better, but it was still a solid job. I did very much like it. And then the crop. I personally didn't like the foggy CC. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but in terms of execution, it wasn't no from me. Your drop was too quiet. I mean, yeah, I couldn't hear any of the guns well at all. But I did very much enjoy your second drop with the added touch with the scanner and the CC. As I said earlier, it was very nice. Like, if you did pitch correct your scanner to be on the actual correct note, then you would have received probably a much higher score from me. But yeah, voice volume balancing is a must in here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Nerdbox was saying as well. Mix was low at the start. Mix in the first drop was all over the place, and the CC is not that great in the first drop. So Nerdbox did not really like the foggy CC, and I have to agree with that as well. I was also going to mention that as well, that the foggy CC it was good to try something different.
It was
different, but it just did not work, unfortunately. But the Black Hat part was definitely my favorite part of this sync. I mean, all things considered, I thought this sync deserved to be just a little bit higher on the leaderboards, maybe in the top 35.
He definitely did well on that innovation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I gotta ask him how he does that later.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him too. That'd be a really cool side project for me. But
exactly.
Anyways, moving on to the 43rd position, finishing off with 29.8 points.
Oh, I love this.
High Octane Sync did Pop the Bass, which is definitely one of the songs I've heard quite a bit of. And I have to say that the beginning, really interesting, the way that he did the beginning. Although
it's not a good idea to roast the competition you're competing for in the first 10 seconds. Maybe not a good idea.
No, that part I was going to say, yeah, that's a little bit unappreciated, man. Not cool, man. Not cool. low score, just instant low score.
-10.
But all good though. No, just he's just having a little bit of fun there. But in particular, there was certain guns I actually liked the usage of the weapons there, where he did the AK-47 grenade launcher with the DSR on the side. Very nicely mixed together. I was surprised how well that mixes together. There was certain guns that he mixed well together, and he
with
also
the voices.
Yeah, the voiceovers were quite well synced. Actually, that was really nice.
What I have to say, you do voices a lot better than most other people can do. Like, don't just take this lightly. Like, you can successfully integrate voice syncs into your regular gun syncs, so keep doing that, man. I thought they were done very well. The JonTron and the zombies, spectacular.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. That was a very nice touch. Probably my favorite part of the sync was the zombies part that he added in there, but very nicely done. But now it's time to get on to the issues of this sync, and I'd say that biggest issues was disable resample again, and also CC choices were pretty bad, and it was not, in my personal opinion, it was not good. And also, when you pull, like, if you go to like 42 seconds and pause it, just the clusterfuck on the screen, there's so many it's just so pixelated, and it just does not look clean whatsoever. It's just
my advice is don't switch CCs like every 2 seconds. Like, find a couple CCs which look genuinely nice and just stick with them, because
I agree.
Quality over quantity, my friends.
I also agree. And what I have to say though, the accuracy, considering we're like, because I've seen a couple of your syncs before, Octane, you've been getting a lot better on accuracy, man. Like, I'm telling you, you just have to keep, especially with the zombies added in the background, and then the other guy saying "fuck" in the background. That was that was definitely very nice. Like, I like that. Like Jaden was saying. Keep that up, man.
I think
you never know what you can get with it, man.
If it wasn't for the visual problems, I would say this could have very well qualified. But you just had that one glaring flaw which cut you out, so I'm proud of you, man. Just keep on making those voice syncs. And
Nerdbox was saying, quote unquote, he said, slag off KOS. So just a little bit of fun note there. But he said the captions are quite unprofessional. Video is heavily artifacted, which is the pretty much the CC, and just the pixelization is pretty bad. But the mix is tad high, and he said the layout is inconsistent, not well thought out. Accuracy is decent though, but very strenuous look to it. That's what Nerdbox was saying about Octane sync there. But I'll just say the artifacts. That was what I was trying to say before. The artifacting of the sync was definitely the big downfall for me on this sync in particular.
Yes.
So finishing in 42nd place with a total of 30 points flat, we do have Qtez, and this is going to start to become the upper half of the judging, where 30 points is, I'd say, average. 30 is the average. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to get into the average syncs here. So looking at Qtez here, did decide to go with Battlefield 4, and the songs he chose was The Devil and Knife Party, and also Weapon Z he added in as well, which is really interesting.
Generic songs, but they do have a lot of potential, so
yeah,
I'd say solid choice.
I would say that the sync had some missing potential. I mean, in the beginning, it could have had maybe some more, because I've seen Shark do this song, and Shark does the Devil song just so good, and it's just really hard to outmatch Shark in this particular song, just because Shark really goes above and beyond with these beats. This is just kind of like the generic beats, but I have to say that it was definitely a good attempt for sure. No questions asked there. And the title effect there was quite interesting as well. Like he did that just for like the pistol, although
a little bit didn't add anything to the SIG, so yeah, no points from me.
Yeah, and the black, I do like that he started in black and white, and then he changed it to color when the drop came around, and the CC that he transitioned to was really nice. I like that.
I mean, that's very typical for a lot of syncs, but yeah, good touch on that as well.
It's very traditional, you know, you have to sometimes go traditional with
that's true.
Stuff like that.
What else should I say? There's nothing actually wrong with the audio. I thought it was very solid on that aspect of things. However, the sync has a unique problem compared to the other syncs I've reviewed, and guess what that is? The drop is actually too loud. Yes.
Really?
In comparison, because the other syncs, the drops were too quiet. These were too loud. So, like, go easier on the reloads, buddy, because they honestly make it wait. They honestly drown out the actual music from the syncs. So, at least it's better than what other people did. At least I have something to work off of. So that is why you did rank higher, but make sure your mix is on point so you can get that extra boost to qualify yourself. Your composition for the ride battle could be a little bit better, you know, when to use a quiet gun, a quiet reload, when to use a loud gun or a missile launcher. Just make sure you know which guns go with which actual kinds of beats. So if you do have to experiment it once again, then yes, definitely go for that route. And the third song was a bit too quiet overall, but it was a good sync overall.
And coming in from Nerdbox, he did say that the mix in the first drop was too high. Exactly the same words that you were saying, Jane. And he also said that some of the gun choices were questionable. But Nerdbox says he could see the angle that he was going for. However, sync was short and the mix is different between sections. So the big thing that Nerdbox is trying to say is audio balance. Audio mixing is the big name of the game there that QTAs needs to fix. That is or at least that's what Nerdbox was saying there. So with that, moving on to the 41st position here, finishing off with 30.3 points, we have Kiddo coming into the mix here, who decided to do the song Save That Shit and also Rattlesnake. So he did those two songs together. And I do have to say, the song choice, at least the first one, was quite simple. But in the beginning, he seemed to add some interesting, he had some very interesting choices for the reloads and some of the guns that he chose. But just the problem is since the sync is too simple, there's just not a lot of variety that he can really go off of. And the drop itself, the sprays, it was really hard to hear some of the sprays. Maybe the AK spray you can hear a little bit, but when it's transitioned over to the BAL spray, the BAL, you can't even hear it at all. It's just the spray is just not there. But the Pytech usage is quite good in this sync. I really like the Pytech usage in particular for this sync.
I do agree with some aspects of that as well. I like the emotion and the feel of the intro. You did have a very nice flowing aspect to that, man. Mood is very important for syncs, surprisingly enough, and it can give you some extra points from judges. The drop, as per usual, was too quiet, so we have nothing to work with. We can't judge effectively, and honestly, if it comes to that, we will give you less points. I did not like the transition between different songs. It was honestly too sudden, so make sure you do find that. Make sure when you are going to a more intense part, make sure your transitions are a little longer and don't immediately jump into it, so that we have a little bit of extra time for us to shift from one song to another. So make sure you remember that flow is a real thing, keep in mind. But that sync overall was very saucy, and I did personally enjoy the drop in of itself. But one problem, man, too much EM1. I cannot emphasize this enough. EM1s are not substitutions for sprays. If you have to go to other games, so be it. Just don't use the EM1 unless you have something unique to use it for. I'm okay with the EM1 reloads, but as it's shooting, no, just no. And if you did it with a different game, you would have scored higher, but oh well. That's my personal feedback.
Yeah, and we do have TBG that said the automatics made me uncomfortable in the drop. Overall, So that is basically the main theme. I'd say my biggest point is definitely the automatic sprays. It's definitely what I wanted to emphasize my point on the most here. So I'd say, Kiddo, for next time around, make sure to know how to properly use the sprays and make sure to up the volume of the sprays, but don't make them too obnoxious at the same time. So with that, we're going to move on to the 40th position now. We are going to be, we do have Ferde Irmir, who is he's one of the few. He's actually the only Turkish sinker in the field, which is quite cool. So look at him.
Before anything, very interesting song choice. I do like the variety.
Yeah, he finished with a 30.5, and as Jaden was talking about, song choice was definitely something I really liked from this sync. It was definitely one of the more unique choices here.
On the meaningful, tasteful side, yes.
And I do want to mention that the sprays, or not the sprays, the pistol usage, the reload pistol usage, absolutely outstanding. Really like that. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the sync, was just how he used the pistol. I would argue and say maybe add a little bit more variety to the sync, a little bit, but at the same time, I thought the sync was not too bad. I thought it was okay. I would say maybe a little bit on the sprays, focus on the sprays more, maybe mastering it properly.
Interesting song choice yet again. It's too bad you didn't do Two Knock Two Knock. I mean, that would have been a truly tasteful sync. But in all honestly, you could have chosen a more complex and interesting song again. Like, if you're into that genre of music, like, look up some remixes. So, like, you have a little bit more to work off of. So, indeed, on top of that, work on your volume balancing. It wasn't as bad as the previous syncs that we talked about. Just make sure that you get that fixed up. And although I could hear the sprays, your reloads in comparison to that were way too loud. So do make sure you find that balance so that I don't have to constantly turn up and turn down my speakers every time we go to a different section of the song, you know?
And we do have some feedback from Nerdbox. He did say lots of clipping distortion. Layout is okay. And actually, now that Nerdbox is saying that, now I'm starting to see the clipping distortion in the sync as well. So,
it is present.
For Deer, you gotta watch out for clipping distortion as well. Make sure that the quality is there. And the CC is a tad bit washed out. Accuracy is not too bad. Song isn't technically deep, and the sprays tiny. That is the words from Nerdbox. So with that, we're gonna go on to the 39th position now, finishing with a 30.7. We have Defuck.
Defac?
Defac. Yeah, that's his name. It's weird to say his name. It's very weird to say his name, but
funny.
I have to say, he actually had a really interesting approach to this. Once again with the Advanced Warfare, but unlike a lot of the Advanced Warfare syncs out there, I mean, yeah, the beginning was a little bit messy in the beginning, but once he got the ball rolling and like after the first like 5 or 6 seconds, like he stabilized himself quite well. And I thought that it actually wasn't too bad. Although I would say that when he did the EM1 and then he faded in the rest of the guns, the best option to do there is just put the guns on the corners, so then you could see that the guns are shooting. Because like when you hear guns shooting in the background and you don't see them on the screen, you get kind of confused on where's the guns, like what's going on.
Exactly.
And the fade in was a little bit slow there, and I would think that, I mean, if you're gonna do a fade in like that, you got to do the fade in a lot faster, and that is what I was going to try to say there. But overall, accuracy is not too bad on this guy. I'm liking it. It's especially on the second drop in particular. Not the first one, he could have added a lot more potential to it, maybe add in some more beats. So there's a little bit of missed potential. But the second time he did this drop, he filled in a lot of those missing gaps, and I have to say, very well done in that second drop.
Yes. Although it was done well initially, I do have to think, I feel like I've heard this before. Oh yeah. No, that's because so many syncs do use Advanced Warfare, so at this point they all sound the same, man. So yeah. Try sakes, choose something other than Advanced Warfare. We've seen way too many of these. It's to the point where I know the gun sounds by heart and I don't even play the game. Like, please, that's a bad sign. But overall, it was yeah, but it was composed well overall. But it's just generic and ordinary. If you do want to get ahead in this competition, you need to do better than generic. Because just like in school, the Asians, specifically the Vietnamese, are whipping our asses.
I was not expecting that. Wow. I mean, true, but damn, you were just so blunt with that. God damn. All right, well.
I mean, I've got the pass, so.
Guys, fucking damn it. Well, anyways, we did see that TBG put in some advice, and he said lots of inaccuracies, but not terrible. So there were a couple miscues. I think he's talking about the beginning, where the beginning was a little bit messy. But like I said, once he got the ball rolling, he got better as the sync went on. The consistency got better and better and better as the sync went up. And it's really hard to put in a consistent sync and keep it consistent or make it better as time goes on. Defuck was one of those guys that actually made the sync better as time went on. So that's definitely some bonus points for me, for sure. All right, so with that, we're going to be moving on to 38th place with a solid 31 flat. We do have Zoosh.
Kazoosh? I think it's Kazoosh.
Kazoosh? Okay, well, close enough. Well, yeah, we have Kazoosh coming in, who did Remember the Name. And he actually did a drum and bass remix. So I have to say that the sync was very accurate for most of it, or I'd say like 90% of the sync. Or like basically, I'm trying to say the accuracy wasn't the biggest issue for me.
Honestly, at this point of the scoring, accuracy starts to no longer become an issue. That's
it's
true.
more so just like little teeny bitsy issues, like it's like little audio bits. I would say that the artillery usage from Battlefield 1, I really like the artillery usage in this. I'm not sure if that's just me or not, but like it was really cool. And the CCs, I love the CC choices from the 30-second marker to the 41-second marker. Nice transition to the 44 or 42-second marker, which had the blue CC in the background, and the 2-2 split there. I really like how clean the split is on 124. Very nicely done. Although I do have to say that when you put Overwatch and the Call of Duty together, really hard to balance them both together to get them to both sound good and make them work together well. It's actually really difficult to do that. So with that, I think that that's the issue there. So I'd say that, I mean, it's tough, but the audio balancing in that particular part, I'm specifically referring to the 130 marker, could be balanced a little bit better, where the Overwatch guns are overshadowed by the Call of Duty guns.
Definitely do agree. Yes. Now, personally, I do very much enjoy the song, and that's why I did sync it. And I would have to say the sync was done well rhythmically, but as Escape said earlier, volume balancing does need work. Because some of the guns are just way too loud, and they just overpower the sync, so... But the main problem I had with the sync is that it gets boring fast, because it's the exact same two different patterns over and over for 30 minutes. Like, although he does use different games, he does need to put more variety into the patterns. So props for you for using different games, but just to make sure it's just varied like in that aspect. And as this is a perfect song for you to add more visual effects, but you did go the safe route. So while it's not a bad thing that you went the safe route, if you do want to get ahead, doing a little bit of experimentation, doing a little bit of extra will give you that extra boost. But remember, kids, if you are going to experiment, don't do it badly.
Great advice, Jaden. Great advice. I'm totally not being sarcastic with that too. So with that, we're going to look at what Nerdbox was saying. He actually had some really good stuff to say for Kazushi here. He said the accuracy is good, gun choice is very good, the mix is okay. The main thing that really holds this back is the fact that the sync lacks technical depth. So what you were exactly saying, where the sync could have a lot more variety, maybe more visual effects with this guy. So with these repetitive syncs, the way to attack repetitive syncs is to add more visual effects. This is the time to experiment if you want to do something cool. So it's not just the same, guns being put on the screen. And when you add more visual effects, like the same guns are still there, but it adds technical depth into the field and ups your score just a little bit. He said that the rest is an easy, reproducible, copyable percussion loop. And he also said the velocity modulation at 150 was a nice touch. So. That was Nerdbox's input on Kazush. And with that, we're going to be moving on to the 37th position. We do have in 37th with 31.5 points, the most original name ever, Xbox Sinker 360. Ooh. Great name. Love the name. So original. But he decided to do Battle Sirens, which I have to say, Battle Sirens is a super fucking difficult song. I'm just gonna say that. It is. For people that actually just attempt this song in general, I mean, you got to give props to people that actually attempt this song, because this song is just so difficult to do, and it's so difficult to do it correct. And I have to say that the accuracy in this particular sync was probably my biggest issue.
Accuracy.
Or not the accuracy. I'd say the audio balancing.
Yes.
Is the biggest. Because what Xbox 360 seemed to try to do, he tried to take the approach that we did in our 8-man collab and decide.
I was about to say that.
Same exact approach, and the only time where the audio seems like it mixes really well is when he does the at around 149 it starts to sound a lot better, but it's just the problem is that at that point it's just the sync is halfway done, and just the audio usage could have been, I'd say, a lot better. And I also have to mention the resample, not disabled, again.
That seems to be a recurring theme here.
Yes, and If you don't, and remember, kids, if you don't disable your resample, your projects look like weird ghosts are coming out of your screen. You don't want your screen to be haunted, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, as per add on to the volume mixing, it was just too quiet. I mean, I'm guilty of completely screwing up the 8-man because it was too quiet, but this takes it to a whole another level. Like, other syncs I do complain about not being able to hear it, but I legitimately couldn't hear any audio of this. And to be honest, if you did have me listen to this without listening to the video, I think I was actually listening to the actual song. Yeah, that's how quiet it was. So I can't judge this if I can't hear it, so I can't really add any more comments because there's honestly nothing to judge. So I mean, I guess it's accurate. I guess that's a good...
The accuracy was good. I actually like the accuracy. That was quite nice. I'm surprised. Like, the accuracy is the main issue with this song. The fact that he's accurate, he's got more than 90% of the battle.
Yeah.
Right then there.
Accuracy. I mean, there is one good thing about having the sync being too quiet. If it's too quiet and you can't tell the difference, that means you're doing, in terms of accuracy, you're doing something right. So, yeah, you have that addition for you. So,
and that's exactly what Nerdbox was saying. Accuracy is good. Gun choice is good for the most part. Some sections questionable, but the big issue is clipping distortion, is what Nerdbox was saying.
Ooh. Yeah, I could see where he's coming from with that.
And with that, now time to go to the 36th place guy here. We do have Nitrix finishing in 36. Nitrix also going with a rather simple approach as well. He actually did this song Pretender featuring Lil Yachty and AJR. This is the only, as far as I know, this is the only Lil Yachty song in this competition so far, as far as what I've seen. I like the split with the bars. This is just a minor note. I mean, this is not really major for me, but like if you see the split between the two weapons as the sync is playing, it looks really nice. I actually like it. It's really smooth and doesn't really have an obnoxious like slant in the middle or anything like that. That's quite cool. The accuracy is good for the most part. There was a couple issues with accuracy. I'd say a little bit past the 30-second marker, there was just a little bit of a mess up, but after that, just the sync was pretty flawless on accuracy, but just the problem of it being relatively simple. Although CC usage and transition usage into the drop, very nice, and very good usage of the sniper at the 54-second marker. That was really nice usage of that weapon, I have to say. Very good.
I do agree. Good visuals and effects, but what really brought the sync out was the fact that the visuals, the CC, as well as the effects, really did match up with the actual feel and tone of the music. So, huge props to that, man. The fact that there was nothing really chaotic going on screen. It was just a nice, peaceful, relaxing tone with the relaxing song itself. So I did very much enjoy the mood of that. So very good bonus points for me for pulling that off. But the drop itself it was constructed well, I might add. But as Escape said earlier, it was again too simple. If you added more complexity into the drop, like add your own little spin onto things, more reloads, possibly more sprays, more beat guns, or maybe just your own like personal melee weapon fight, you could have scored higher, and I could see him actually qualifying. So, but
yeah, I'd say so too. Yeah.
So, but hindsight is 2020. So I would just say keep it up.
And we do have some words from Nerdbox once again. We do have Nerdbox saying clipping distortion in the chorus. Mix is good everywhere but there. Very short sync. And that's what Nerdbox was saying for that particular sync. As we now move on to the 35th position here, I believe that is JASK finishing off with 30. Jask, yeah, that's a cool name. 32.2 points coming in from Jask, and Jask actually did Levitate as his song, and he actually did a multi-game gun sync here. He used Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Rainbow Six, Overwatch, Black Ops 1, COD World War 2 was also used at a certain point. But I think that the big issue with this sync in particular for me was lack of variety. And this is another just occurring theme for these type of songs. Just not many of these syncers are really trying to experiment with other songs, or they're not trying anything that's different.
One, find a remix, or two, add your own little spins of things.
Or just add more beats to it, just add something to it, you know?
Exactly.
But that's why you got to be careful with multi-game syncs. Like, if you switch too often and then you just do that same switch again, then it loses that variety, and you have a lot less chances of getting that variety score up.
Exactly.
Although subtitles are good on a short net.
I did like the subtitles. The style choice in this case was enjoyable. It added to the sync. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, that was quite cool. And looking at what Nerdbox said about Jask, looking through, he did say that accuracy is good, gun choice is good, but the mixing is very poor and the sprays are very low in the mix. The score was pulled up from a 4 due to the consistency. Good layout, good typography, and overall good presentation of the sync. Just audio balancing was an issue, and just audio mixing just needs some work. And that was the other thing I was going to mention as well. Just audio syncing was a little bit mediocre when transitioning through the clips. The same problem that Shadow Gamer had when he did his gun sync. And by the way, Shadow's got a lot better at that as time goes on.
On a technical point, you should, during the percussion, like the actual kick bass drums, you should have made those quieter because they really did overpower your other guns. So just make sure you do ensure that that is equalized during the drop. Well, it was a nice drop, except for the fact that you did use the P90 over and over and over again. Like, please, there are like 7-8 different spray weapons in that game, so just try to use as much as you can. So make sure.
As I said, lack of variety, man. That's
exactly,
what I was saying.
Exactly. But on a positive note, the Zenyatta and the percussion section, they did have very good synergy, because Zenyatta just attacked a portion of that sync that the percussion didn't quite. So when they came together, I did feel like that made a very good harmony. So good props for you that. Yeah,
good job on the Zenyatta part there. And we're going to move on to the man who finished in 34th.
Mini
Matt finishing with 32.9. And I really like the intro of this. The intro was quite cool, the way he was doing this. Kind of like made it sound like it was a boxing match, a good old classic style boxing match. I love that. It was
nice.
Cool. Just has a little bit of a boost, at least from my personal. Not really much points there, but I just thought it was quite nice. But big issues right off the bat for me is the reloads. I don't know what he was thinking with the reloads there. But the reloads, I just could not hear the reloads, and the sprays, and also resamples not disabled. Again, do something. Disable the resample, motherfucker.
Stable it.
And although I will say that the sync gets a lot better at the 30-second marker, where you see kind of like the two side-by-side clips going down there, and then eventually when it transitions from the two snipers, and then there's also the rocket launcher that gets added in there at the 40-second marker, which was quite a nice touch there. And I thought that the CC usage there was quite nice though. And then when he transitioned over to the 53-second marker, I felt like he was going for more of the visual play here.
Way too far though.
Yeah, it's just looking at the top, like what's going on the top? I can't really tell what's going on the top there. Even if he kept the circle, maybe the bottom clip, and then maybe added some like other cinematics or something else on the top left, and did not flip it the wrong fucking way, maybe he would have added something to the sync. But I like that he tried something. No, it's definitely trying something new for sure. It's definitely outside of Mini-Matt's. It's definitely outside of Mini-Matt's comfort zone. That is for sure.
Props to him. In terms of audio, you might have mentioned this earlier, Escape, but I can't hear the reloads or the sprays.
Yeah.
So that took away from your score a lot. But visuals do look pretty. I like the CC and the visual effects, and the Overwatch drop was quite nice. And I do see what you were trying to go for in a conceptual standpoint, and it would have been really nice if you executed it well, but you just took it a step too far. You're shaking the screen way too much to the fact where it's like giving me a headache, and I can't watch like the entire thing in one sitting. Overall, if you did tone down the visuals a lot, then it would have done better, guaranteed. Like, you could have qualified with this, but experimentation, there's that one flaw about experimentation. When you do find something you like, you always take it too far. So just make sure you find that Goldilocks zone.
And we do have Nerdbox saying that the accuracy and the gun choice was decent. I did like the accuracy of this sync, although mixing is poor, and mixing was generally low with the BO1 sprays and making it inaudible, and that was the big That was the big no-no there. And Nerdbox also did say that the mix of the Rainbow Six section was tolerable, which usually Rainbow Six is the harder game. And I'm actually surprised that Minimad had more trouble trying to get the audio up for the sprays in the Black Ops 1 game compared to Rainbow Six, where it's a lot harder to do it in that game in particular. And just, I just thought that was quite an interesting thing to add in on there. So with that, we're going to be moving on to, I believe there's actually a tie for 32nd. We have a tie between Vihan 2 and Wookie Bookie. Well, I call him Wookie Bookie because like the PUBG player, but Wookie.
Wakoli.
Wakoli. Oh, wow. I fucking...
That was a bit off.
Well, I'm going to get memes for that. Okay. That's going to be a major meme. But
set that right next to the face cam.
Yep, sending it to the there it goes. All right, but anyways, we go to Vine Z first. Who did Vahans, and he did start the song Starscream, which was actually a really interesting song idea. I actually never heard of this song before. This is actually the first time I'm hearing this, which is really interesting. I do have to say that the accuracy is pretty decent throughout the sync. The CC, although when it comes down to the 27-second marker, I feel like he just went kind of a little overboard with the reloads there. And although the EM1 usage, like I'm not sure if you're gonna have a comment about the EM1 usage on this particular sync here. EM1 usage was pretty decent. Wasn't too bad. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe he could have did it a little bit more. Maybe a little more variety with those EM1s.
Definitely.
Or maybe just saving the EM1 usage, because like when you use up 3 EM1s in that particular beat, it lessens your chances of using EM1s later, where you really might need to add it in or try to use it later. So then that avoids the problem of overusing the EM1 in the later stages. And I do like the I'm not sure if he was copying you on this, but the
rotating cube.
The rotating cube is back.
Trademark Jayton. I'm proud of you for figuring that out. Proud of you.
Yeah. So yeah, he did a cube there. I thought that the cube was quite interesting. He didn't overdo it, but like it was. I thought the cube was good enough for it to be like just a really cool effect, just to add to it.
Solid. So. Yeah, it was pretty solid. The visual effects about the shines, they were an interesting take. So I did like the additions it did on top of the rotating box. And by the way, nice job for figuring that out. But yeah. It didn't help that much, but it did help set your sync apart, so good job for you. So just keep on trying to find effects like that. Like, you don't have to be restricted to what I did, just rotating cubes. You could do, I don't know, rotating stars, some kind of snowflake patterns, whatever. Just go wild. This is KOS. Just make sure if you find something that works well, then stick with it. But on top of that, you do need to work on volume balancing for the sync, because your drops are way too loud in comparison to your buildups and your bridges. So, and please, when you're color correcting, don't use the mustard preset. That's a terrible shade of yellow.
Lol. Dude, mustard's great, man. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Cool.
In taste, yes, but not when it's like splurted all over that community part.
No, it's very interesting there, but Nerdbox saying that there's minor accuracy issues, which is as expected for this particular sync. I think he's talking about mainly the beginning of the sync before it really kicks in, and the EM1 part in the center. And then he said the mix is good to start, tad bit low, could be added in a little bit more. The effects are cool, but a little bit rough around the edges. But he said gun choice is good, and the sync is a little bit on the short side. That's what Nerdbox was saying about Von 2. And now Wakoli, we're going to be moving on to him. By the way, before I even get into Wakoli's review here, PGS had a comment about that. He said, fucking Rattlesnake, insta-win.
He gave him 20,000 points. So props to you, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Wakoli did not score higher, but...
I had to talk to PGS.
Oh, wait a minute. He said, there's a real score here. It says 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's being sarcastic. Oh, yeah, we totally set that up, by the way. So, yeah. But yeah, Wakoli, he got a really nice comment from PGS. But anyways, looking at his sync, I really like the intro, just because of the creative use of the intro there.
As did I. I absolutely loved it.
And the audio was quite nice to add in there, kind of like he was waiting at an airport and or a resort. I thought that was quite cool, just to add a little bit of bonus to the sync. And the CC usage, I really like the CC usage, and also the hammer usage. Really nice use of the hammer there. I really like that.
I see, yeah. It was a sync on the simple side, but it was executed and done well. So, applause to you, man, for making a sync like that sound well. And although the CCs, I forgot, it would be a good CC sync if I remembered to bring my 3D glasses while judging. But unfortunately, I forgot to bring them, so I wasn't able to judge them accurately. So, I'm not sure if that was intentional, but the 3D effect can be a little bit distracting, so just make sure you keep that in mind. Not all of us have 3D glasses. But...
And also, I was going to add it, I don't mean to interrupt. Let's say also at the 109 marker, when he's like, I'm not sure if that's a trap that he's trying to put down or something, the guy. That was a really cool usage of that. I haven't seen too many sinkers use that before, and I thought that was a really nice addition to the variety. So big variety from me for that particular part right there. That was quite nice.
I see, yeah. And in terms of your flaws, the drop was kind of quiet, and the guns didn't really match. Again, we need that synchronization and that harmonics, so just make sure you find guns that actually match to the drop.
Peace and harmony.
But good meme, my guy. Good meme. It was meme? Yeah. But honestly, it was too simple to move on, so thanks for playing anyway.
Wow, that was very blunt the way you put it, but cool. Okay, anyways, we do have Nerdbox saying, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of chromatic aberration. I'm not sure if that's the exact...
you can ask him for details.
Yeah, I'll ask him for details. He did say cool transitions, accuracy issues in a couple places. He said great gun choice, and the mixing was a little bit inconsistent. And the intro and outro were cool to add to this thing, as well as we both mentioned. So, Wakoli, very nice job on your sync there. So, we're going to be moving on to the man who finished 31st. Finishing at 31st with a total of 34.2. We have Mr. Ragdizzle.
Ragdizzle me shizzle.
And the fact that he did Marshmallow I thought that was really cool. And the beginning of the sync was extremely strong, in my opinion. Like, I mean, really strong. Like, just the accuracy and just the weapons usage. This is just at least in my opinion. And I personally thought that he would score higher, at least by watching the good 2/3 of the sync and just his weapon usage, the accuracy, and the volume of the weapons, and just how clean it was for the first 2/3 of the sync was definitely one of the things that I
agree, but it's just a hard competition escape. So even if you do a good job, it's just hard, man.
Yeah, and then I think that if I'm thinking of what the big issue was, I'm not sure if it was when he did the Devil May Cry part on there, like the second part of the sync. First of all, there is some minor disable resample issues, but it's not too bad on this one. But I'd say that the spray with the pistols, when the guy did this, when the main, I don't know shit about Devil May Cry, but when he sprayed the pistols, that was the big issue because you couldn't really hear what was going on there with the spray. At least that was my big issue with the sync, but it wasn't like as bad. But personally, I thought this sync, to be honest, I thought it was good enough to move on, or at least contend for the top 26. A little bit unfortunate that he's going to be knocked off here.
I do agree, yes. I did very much enjoy the first half because it did very well set the mood and the tone of the chill part. So yes, very nice job for that. The second half was also good. There were no glaring flaws. I particularly enjoyed the fighting game, whatever you were playing. Was it Final Fantasy or something? I don't know.
That looked like Devil May Cry to me.
Devil May Cry? All right. Anyways, I did very much enjoy the fact that you tried to add your little twist on things. So props to you for being a little bit creative. There was good percussion in that game. So nice job in that fact. And although this was a very solid sync, again, competition is extremely tough. And if you want to move on, you've just got to go that extra mile. But you
got to make sure that everything is clean all the way through, man. Consistency.
Exactly. He was only 5 places off, so he did well.
Yeah, as TBG did say, I like the picked up pace. Overall, solid sync. So we can't take anything away from how good this sync was. The sync was very good. Just a couple minor issues. You gotta just got to make sure to clean up the minor issues. And I like the outro in the end, saying Dante, will we see each other again, stuff like that, just to kind of close out the sync. I thought that was a minor victory for me. There was that part in particular. So with that, we're going to be moving on to the 30th place. We're in the top 30 now. We're getting close to seeing who's actually going to be moving on to the next round. So with 34 points. Yeah, man, it's crazy how much we've gone through. We're pretty far into this, too. So 30th place with 34.5 points. BCL. And it breaks my heart saying this because I was rooting for BCL to make it to the next round, man. I was rooting for him. Oh, man, so a little bit unfortunate that he's not going to make it. But looking at the sync itself, I do like he seems to like going for Black Ops 3. He seems to like the Black Ops 3 feel to the sync. And the songs that he did, he used Pegboard Nerds, actually, for this song. It was called Move That Body, the Sultan remix. That was the first song that he used there. I actually really like this sync. Just pretty good accuracy throughout. I do like the CC choice. It wasn't too obnoxious, but it really fit the sync. And it picked up the pace a little bit. It had that speed, and it had that... it just had the speed and the accuracy that I really like in the sync.
I do agree with that. Now, this is a good sync, but as I said, it's not amazing. Your scanner is off pitch, and although it may be hard to pitch correct that scanner, I try to get as close to the notes as possible, because if you do manage to get it perfectly on, then it's going to sound like a great sync. The visuals were particularly poppy, which I personally enjoyed, and this was a good sync, but it doesn't stand out. So make sure you find that one thing that sets you apart, or otherwise it's just going to be another generic sync.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Although I also have to say that the CC in 156, very unique CC there. I'm not sure if I've seen this from other people, but like the way that the sky is portrayed in this, I'm not sure if it's just the background doing this, because just sometimes you get lucky with the background, you get it and you experiment with a good CC and then you find it. But honestly, I like the CC usages in this sync. It was quite nice. Maybe it wasn't the most creative CCs that we've seen out there, but it was clean, and I really liked it. I thought it was good. And then we do have TBG saying, not the best choice of guns at certain parts, but an overall solid sync from the Filipino syncer BCL. So very nice sync from him. So with that, we're going to move on. Finishing in 29th place with a grand total of 34.8 points, we have the Half Beast coming in just outside the top, or just inside the top 30. So looking at the Half Beast sync, he did a Battlefield 1 sync, which is actually a relatively interesting approach here. And I really did like the gun sounds that he used, and not to mention the transition that he used with the artillery piece at the 40-second marker. That was absolutely solid. I love that, transitioning into the next clips. And just a lot of the choices that he made were just really well thought out. I really loved his choices in terms of what guns he chose, and the audio was pretty good as well.
I do agree with that, and I would actually have to say that I'm kind of surprised with his sync here, because I've seen him do a lot better than this. So anyways, what I have to say is that although his choices of guns were good, it wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't all around solid sync, but it didn't blow me out of the water. And at this point of the competition, it's important that you have something that defines your sync as something that stands out in order for you to move on. So this probably would have gone on to like the second round maybe last year or 2 years ago, but like just now the competition is so bad, so it's really hard. So don't feel too disappointed. The job was done perfectly, what I have to say, but it doesn't really help the fact that it's a little bit generic and boring. So try to add a little bit of pizzazz or twist of yourself onto it. And I don't think that it was the actual sync that was holding you back per se, but I think it was definitely the actual song choice.
I would have to agree that I think maybe I'd just say the variety of the sync. I mean, he chose a lot of Battlefield 1 guns, and he did as much variety as he could, but maybe if he could add maybe more variety with the Rainbow Six Siege, maybe put in some more of those guns in there, or try to experiment some more with Battlefield 1, then he might have had that chance to move on if only I'd say experimented a little bit with the variety, which I think is the Half Beast's largest issue in regards to the rest of the competition. I mean, his sync was very solid, but just compared to everybody else, man, it's like
it's hard.
got to really step up your game, and it's really difficult. It's not easy whatsoever, man. So we got to give Half Beast a lot of credit for putting out a very, very solid sync.
Yeah. What did the other judges say, Escape?
Looking for, here we go. The Half Beast, let's see, Nerdbox came in and said that the gun choice was absolutely excellent, which was one of the big things that we were talking about. He said the layout was clean, the mix is excellent, and there was minor accuracy issues, just very minor, not really too much according to Nerdbox there. Maybe those were the very few points that the Half Beast maybe could have used. Maybe those little bits and pieces of points.
Yeah.
And maybe those tiny bits of accuracy, if he fixed those, maybe he would have had that chance to move on to the finale. And he finished off at 34.8 points. Very solid showing from the Half Beast. Nice job.
Exactly.
So with that, we're going to move on to 27th place. Or not 27th place, 28th place. So finishing in 28th place with a solid 35 points, we have I'm Just a Gamer, who barely misses getting into the second round once again.
By how many points, Escape? Let's see.
He barely missed it by less than a point. He was 0.6 off. We're moving on. He was 0.6.
0.6 off.
Oof. And we'll tell you who that guy is later on. But I have to say, I'm Just a Gamer. This was a very impressive sync. Over the years, we've seen lack of variety from I'm Just a Gamer, and we've seen very big accuracy issues. But I have to tell you, this guy's stepping up his game. This guy's kicking ass now. And I think that I'm Just a Gamer, if he keeps this up, and keeps this going, maybe next season, if he tries to innovate his sync even more, then he's going to have a great shot at moving on to that second round and becoming a real contender next year.
Exactly, yeah. The reloads in the corner were pretty cool. The only things I would have to say, in fact, of composition-wise, is that you did miss out on a couple of sprays. And one glaring problem that your sync has is the fact that you use the EM1 too much, which made it boring. The only instance where I would say that the EM1 was acceptable was toward the end of your sync during those dubstep effects. I think in that case it does fit very well, but remember, it cannot be a substitution for sprays. But in the end of the day, it was a solid sync.
And coming in from Nerdbox, he did say that the reloads, this is Nerdbox's opinion, he thought that the reloads were a little bit too much on the screen to be focused on. And that's actually an interesting point. Maybe with the reloads, like the fast reloads, it was a really interesting
I personally liked it. Maybe it's too much for some other people.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I liked it. And then he said accuracy on the drop was poor, according to Nerdbox. He said gun choice was poor, okay, in certain places. And I believe he's talking about the EM1. And I think the EM1 usage is the big thing with this sync that really just screamed almost there, but not quite enough.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit unfortunate, but very good attempt coming in from I'm Just a Gamer. No questions asked. So we're going to be moving on to, oh my God, this is the dreaded place, the 27th place, the man who made it one spot away from moving on.
Not only that, you missed it by 0.1 point.
Oh man, that's a heartbreak, man. Absolute heartbreak.
Oh man.
Oh man, this guy's gonna hate me. But finishing in 27th with a total of 35.5 points and one spot off, we got Hoi RT. And man, what a heartbreak, man. That's just crazy. But
such a good sync too, man.
But decimal point. Like, Jesus, it can't get closer than that, man. It honestly
literally, it cannot. 0.1 point. The next person above you is 35.6.
And I have to say that both of these syncs from the two guys in 27th to 26th, nearly identical for the most part here. And I have to say that I jaw dropped when Hoi RT did Olympus Nights, and I love that song. But the way he did Olympus Nights, he did it in such a good way, like such a unique way that, because a lot of people, when they approach Olympus Nights, they do Advanced Warfare and they do the EM1s, they do the traditional approach to it, right? Mm-hmm. But he used the Tempest. He actually found a good way to use the Tempest on the drop, and it sounded beautiful.
Prime example of how to use Black Ops 3. Very well constructed. So going into the specifics into this sync, I would say for your Zarya aspect of this, good effort. I see what you were trying to go for here, and I do hear the pitch shifts that you were trying to go for, but I do believe that they were a bit off key. So if you could perfect that, that would just make that aspect of that flawless. And I very much enjoyed the sync, and I wish you would have qualified, but you were literally just 0.1 point off. Audio balancing, while it's not a huge glaring flaw, it is needed, and you should tend to that a little much more to make sure that just everything is equalized and normalized, since some of the songs honestly were louder than the others. Not the guns themselves necessarily, but the songs need to be equalized. And visual effects, while you had some nice CC, they were mediocre at best. So that's probably why you didn't have anything to like show off or flash off. The only CC I particularly liked were the ones for Black Ops 3. Those CCs were quite spot on, actually, but everything else, it just wasn't enough, man.
And a little bit unfortunate, he forgot to disable resample. That's gonna be a little bit unfortunate there, just because if he just disabled resample, he might have had that extra 0.1 to maybe get himself in, and that's just where every little mistake matters at this stage now. Just looking how close Boy came into moving on to that next round. And also, not to mention, at the 148 marker, just the weapon balancing was not that great over there. You could barely hear the EM1, and that was probably the huge thing that costed RT from moving on to the next round. And I believe Nerdblocks did say the same exact thing. If I am to check, he said a lack of gun sustain in the second drop, and also switching to AW elevated the slightly mix is very different between sections. He said the gun choice is good, accuracy is good, and the CC was decent, but he also said it was tad sketchy when he transitioned to Tokyo Machine. It was a little bit sketchy over there as well, according to
I do see where he's coming from.
But a hell of a dry coming in from RT, which means now we get to move on to who actually gets into round 2 now, which this is the exciting part.
This is exciting. As a quick, once again, everyone, thank you so much for competing. Although this might not have been your year to qualify, we do appreciate all the effort that you put in, and just make sure you keep your hands tight for next year, because it's anyone's game at that point. But now, congratulations to all of you beyond this point who have qualified.
So yeah, and we're going to be starting with our 26th place finisher, Reese GS. And I have to say, wow, I'm off to a great start. I'm getting tired. But this guy came out of absolute nowhere. And the last couple of syncs I've been seeing from this guy have not been like up there really to compete, but this guy making it into the next round in the world's largest competition for gun syncing, man, this really just shows that anything could happen, man. And this guy and how he used the weapons in Overwatch was just absolutely phenomenal. And the only thing I would say is the CC is a little bit bland, but honestly, very minor. I mean, at least for me, it's very minor. But just the weapons usage that he had throughout the entirety of the sync was just absolutely phenomenal. Although I would say maybe try to do some different variety when it comes to the COD 4 part, maybe a little bit more variety there. But the Battlefield 1 part was just absolutely flawless. The reloads and the use of the flare gun, he really experimented with a lot of different choices here for what weapons to use for certain parts, but they just really matched up super well. It was outstanding sync from Reese, and well-deserved moving on to the next round, man.
I do very much agree with that. Just to get into the more nitpicky parts of this, I did personally enjoy the fast reload aspect in the beginning of your sync. That was very nice. You did very well encapsulate the mood of the starting of the song. Great job. There were some solid cinematics in there. Honestly, yeah, you did. It was a lot better than putting your guns in slow motion, so props to you for that. It was constructed very well, because I could hear the synergy between the guns and the music go along very well. It didn't sound too cluttered, yet it didn't sound too simplistic. I think it was very solid all around. And the Overwatch part, I particularly enjoyed over the other parts of the sync, because it was very complex, but it wasn't cluttered. So, and I also have to agree that the Battlefield one was done very expertly. So, great job. You definitely deserve this position, man.
And we do have some feedback from Nerdbox as well. He did say the topography is a little bit amateurish. And then he said the sword antics at the start had potential, but wasn't well executed. And I have to agree with Nerdbox there. The one thing I am going to say as well is when slicing the sword, I didn't really hear that oomph that it was supposed to have. But other than that, it was still a very awesome sync coming in from Reese. And congratulations, you're our first member to be moving on to the next round. And now we're in the top 25. Absolutely unbelievable. The top 25, this is just where it gets so competitive. This is where it really begins. Finishing in 25th position with a grand total of 35.8. We have Aquarius Gaming. And I have to say, I thought that this was going to be a slow sync, like the way that this started, but it picked up quick. Like after the 30-second marker, he really started to show the true potential of the sync. And just everything seemed to flow very well. The transitions were really nice. The weapons usage was good. And I mean, the only thing I would say is like when it gets to the 43-second marker, it becomes a black screen for a solid like 5-6 seconds, which to be honest is my major flaw with this sync. But overall, just as a collective whole, for the short sync that it was, it really packed a punch.
It did.
It really packs a punch when the drop hits at the 1:10 marker around there. When the drop really hits, then you get the hammers coming into play, you get the weapons. It just everything flows and it sounds really good. And Tracer's ability used in that particular format was just absolutely outstanding. It fit in with the song and it just flowed.
I very much agree with that. This is an example of the best of both worlds. We see an example of both a chill sync as well as an actual dubstep sync. So we can see how he does the chill sync part well. Although it's slow, it's done very well to the point where it's not repetitive, it's not boring or simplistic. It's still engaging even though it's slow, and yet it takes that viewer into the mood. And then all of a sudden when it switches over to the dubstep, it does a very good job in hyping up the viewer with not only the guns, the sword flares, the vocal effects, all of that done very expertly and well. I would have to say that the transition between the chill and the fast part, however, was a little bit sudden. So if you could just have a longer fade in or like just include the build up for that dubstep part, I would say this would have done a little bit better. But there's not much more that you could have done. But I suppose the visual effects, you could have added a little bit more pizzazz onto that, but
I mean, make it short, simple, and effective, And also another thing that I do want to mention, Nerdbox also mentioned this as well. There was a massive amount of clip distortion in this, and I have to say, the majority of the syncers have been having a lot of issues with clip distortion in this competition. But there was also some clip distortion in this particular sync, so make sure to fix that as well. And he did say, though, very good gun choices and very solid sync other than the distortion for the most part there. And moving on to the top 24, finishing in the 24th position with a solid 36.6 points, we have Toverniak. Ooh, and I have to say, I really liked this sync. I just enjoyed it. It was really chill, and it had that nice feeling to it. But my favorite part, just like when the drop hits, this is an new interesting setup that this guy had that I haven't really seen before, where what he did was he had the Black Ops 3 guns going off on one end, and then on the other end there was a battlefield. There was a battlefield sync there, and then the Infinite Warfare clips. And then he also added CSGO chroma key clips at the same exact time.
Exactly.
It's just the variety on this video is just so good, and the accuracy was pretty good. The video flowed really well, and then the first drop had a certain set of games, and then the second drop, completely different set. It changed the set, and it still sounded amazing. And I have to say, this is some great work from Toverniak, one of his best yet, and he really deserves to be moving on to round number 2.
Exactly, yes. Just to put that out there, I do like the interesting thing you did with your logo. You had the audio waveform play in your logo, and because of that, I think that your logo actually added something to the sync rather than distract it. So very well, good integration of your logo into the sync. I'd like to see more of that for more competitors in the future. I think your multi-game integration was done very well, but because I do a lot of these, I do have a couple of minor criticisms because I'm very nitpicky about this like genre of complicating having like 5 guns on the screen at the same time. I noticed that like 3 of your 5 clips on the screen are doing the exact same thing. It's just a simple kick and snare. I would say that it does. The extra guns on the screen at that point don't really add anything. You want to make sure that the guns are actually contributing something different. Maybe this section of the guns are adding a hi-hat, these sections of the guns are helping relay the chorus or melody line, these guns are just harmonizing everything, blending it all together, and some other aspects. So you just want to make sure that if you are going to add more guns onto the screen, you want to make sure that it actually adds something positive to the sync and not just there for like say filler. But overall, I think this is one of the best multi gun screen syncs. I don't know what this genre is called at this point, but yeah, I think this was done very well.
Yeah, it was definitely unique for sure. I really like the variety that Toverniak put in there. That was the big selling point with this sync. The variety was the big selling point for me. Although maybe it could have been done a little bit better. And Nerdbox actually has some good points here. He said the layout was kind of amateur-ish.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Which I would definitely agree with that. Maybe if you were to make that more visually appealing, then he would just have an amazing sync. But other than that, he's great accuracy. Only a few minor hiccups, and the mix is busy and very well separated, but not super overwhelming. So it was good. It was well put together and great work from Toverniak. Plus, I love the Fat Rat songs, so this definitely hit home for me, for sure. No questions asked. So with that, we're going to be moving on to the man who finished 23rd place. We have Cutis.
Cutis?
Who's going to be coming in. Cutis. Wow, I botched that really badly.
Nah, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
So yeah, he finished off at 37.1 points, and looking into his sync in particular, he had a really nice text in the beginning, which was really cool. But when we actually get into his sync, he actually has some really unique ways of doing the battlefield sprays, and that was something I really liked with this sync. He really knew what he was doing with the sprays, and then transitioning over to the Modern Warfare clips, I would say maybe focus on the audio balancing a little bit more, and maybe focus on how to balance the Battlefield with the MW3 just a little bit, because it is very difficult to balance Battlefield and MW3 together. But
he managed to pull it off.
He got some good sprays. The CC is not bad. I mean, it's kind of more on the traditional side. The black bars are a little bit too obnoxious, at least in my general opinion. And then when it transitions over to the Advanced Warfare part, the sprays cannot be heard once again, but it's only on the sprays. But then everything else, when he does the faster part, like when he kind of combines all the guns together and does like the shotgun, transitioning into the riot shield with the revolver, and also some of the other guns that he placed in there, absolutely flawless job. You can hear the guns clear as day, and just everything flows.
It does.
It flows well. It was a good flowing gun sync.
It does.
I like it.
It does. I do particularly think that the CC on this was on the better side of this competition, because it wasn't blaring or painful to the eyes to see, yet it wasn't like unnoticeable. So you did find that good mix. Also, you didn't overdo it by choosing too many varieties. I noticed you included multiple colors there. I do think that that's bonus points from me because of the fact that you were able to find that Goldilocks zone of too much or too little CC. I think that your MW3 part was constructed very well. Did a very good job in like hyping people up into the mood. And that transition between Battlefield as well as Modern Warfare 3 was done very well, as Escape said. And honestly, this would have been amazing, but I do feel like your Advanced Warfare took away from your sync because, yeah, you do have some audio balancing issues to work out through.
And that's exactly what Nerdbox was saying. He got a really strong start with the Battlefield. It was really strong, and then when it got to the Advanced Warfare part, it just kind of got jarring for a little bit, especially with the spray. Kind of ruined the flow a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as some of those other syncs out there. But I have to say, awesome effort from...
Great job.
Very, very good job from Kudos. And now we're going to be moving on. Finishing off in a tie for 21st, we have Lightname and Joni Watt, who are going to be the two guys that have tied for that position. And starting off with the Russian sinker, Joni, he went with a Black Ops 3 approach to this and decided to do the song Terror. It's a very common song.
Really? I've only heard it a couple times.
Yeah, I've heard it a bunch. It's pretty common, but I have to say, more so, he went with the traditional approach with this song, and then he did add some advanced warfare into it, and the sprays were just I really like the sprays in this one. The sprays were really well utilized, and then what I really loved though was the way he used the boxing gloves. Was a really nice touch. I just thought that it really added some nice value to it to kind of make it sound different and apart from the rest. And the Tempest usage was also very solid, and also the Hive usage was good. And
all the specialists were used well in this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then the pistol sprays were good, and the advanced warfare part was not too bad. I mean, I know advanced warfare is the big topic of kind of like ruining the sync, but it didn't ruin it that much in this case, at least in my personal opinion. I thought that he used the advanced warfare. He used advanced warfare very, very wisely, but he didn't overdo it. Unlike some other people that would try to overdo the advanced warfare and try to use that to carry. But he used it for the build-up, and then for the drop, he focused mostly on Black Ops 3, which is something that I really liked from What.
Exactly.
Joni.
What I did appreciate from Joni Watt is that he didn't use the Advanced Warfare for sprays, and honestly, I believe that Advanced Warfare is a terrible game for sprays, no matter what gun you're using, even if you're trying to avoid the AM1. But he did utilize the Advanced Warfare for the build-up as well as the ending part, which weren't many sprays, but they were just percussive loops. But it was done very well. So yeah, as Escape said, it didn't take away from the sync. I do believe. Honestly, overall solid job on the sync. As Escape said, you did utilize many of the melee weapons well, but I would have liked to seen a little more usage of more melee weapons, because you can't underestimate how they do. So if you did decide to go past those boxing gloves and use, say, an arm or the crowbar, we could have seen some more improvement. You could, just mix and match and experiment with that. But one complaint I have is the beginning black bars. I don't get the appeal of black bars, honestly. Why do people do it?
I mean, some people do it if it's small enough where it's not as obnoxious, then it could work. But in this case, it was a little bit too much, I would say. Soft it down a little bit, just a tiny tad.
Exactly. Also, but yeah, just some quick comments. Your CC was solid. It was solid, but it was boring. That's what I would have to say, because you only chose to do one, and you do want a little bit of variety in the sync. Not too much where you're chaining the CC every 2 seconds into some crappy mustard filter, but just make sure you want to see it flowing throughout the sync. Maybe change from a bluish red to a hue of blue. Maybe add some turquoise or sapphire shades into that.
Turquoise is a cool color.
Yeah. It's my logo color, so.
I'm into that. And looking at what Nerdbox was saying, Nerdbox said first drop is well done, and then he said some notes need to be more sustained, and the song transition wasn't the best. And he said work on the transition a little bit, and this guy will have his sync mastered. So very good job from him. And now we're going to be moving on to Lightning VN, who was in the finale for season 3 last time around. So he's going to be making another appearance into the second round. So we do see in the beginning very strong use of the sprays, and I really love Lightning's usage of the sprays in Advanced Warfare. Not many people could do it very effectively, where Lightning, he knows how to do it. And time and time again, it just impressed me with how good he can spray these weapons. Although, to be honest, when he did the drop, I was not really crazy with the 6-way screen that he had.
Oh, really? I particularly enjoyed that.
No, I liked it, but the problem was the audio seemed like it was cluttered,
Oh, yeah. It was a little bit on the cluttered side.
Yeah, but at the same time, I got to give him credit because it still sounds fine. It still sounds okay, but just the audio being that cluttered like that is kind of what's going to bring it down from the top 5.
Yeah.
It's gonna set it up. It's gonna be more of a top 20 sync. This is a good sync to get into the next round. No questions asked. But trying to get into the top 5, he has to clean up that audio just a little bit. So if he wants to get a chance again in that finale again, he's got to clean that up.
I do agree with that. Yeah. This is just a personal opinion. Again, I just personally don't like Advanced Warfare for sprays. I think that's just been a reoccurring thing. Although you do it...
biased.
Yes, I am biased. But a beat, you do it much better than most of the other people there. It's still, just try to steer away from Advanced Warfare for sprays. They honestly just all sound the same. But on top of onto your drop part, I thought what you were going for was very well done, because you had something different going on in each of the different screens. Some of the places you were reloading the EM1, some of the places you were reloading other actual guns. You were just going for base pumps. Even the EM1 added a little bit of sub bass or like baseline into that. Honestly, I thought it was done well. The only thing I would say is try to clutter it a little bit, just clean up the audio. Don't add too much, maybe add more fades onto the guns. But I can see what you're going, and I'm glad that you took a unique approach compared to what other people were doing, because instead of just using the typical sprays on the bottom, base cannons on the top right, top left corner, you try to implement something a little, try to add your little own twist onto it, and I do appreciate that. So if you manage to execute that better during the second and possibly the third round, then I think I can see you going far into this.
And TBG, now we're going to be actually having a different judge's opinion on this one. He said if he makes it past the first round, you better pick up the pace, which is totally agreeable, which Lightname did not go super hard on this thing. He went hard enough so he can get into the next round. So Lightname, I think, is playing the pacing game right now. He's going to try to pace himself into that finale where he's going to be able to step up from this gun sec. And I agree with that. So I think that if Lightname just cleans up that audio and focuses on, if he's going to clobber all that stuff together, just make sure the audio is clean. So just hoping that he can do exactly that. But with that, all right, so now we're going to be in the top 20, Jaden. Oh my God, we're actually in the top 20.
Jesus. This is where the real good stuff starts. And honestly, I can't roast many of these things anymore, so.
And 20th place is just ahead of that tie for 21st by literally 0.1 points. Yet again, it's really close. But finishing with 37.5, we have Hoang Music Gamer, who decided to go Reign of Terror. This is the second guy to do this particular song. And I have to say,
well done.
I like the reloads on the guns. Like the different guns that he chose for the reloads is definitely unique as well. I saw the nailed gun in there, using that for the reloads is because it has a different unique sound than the other guns, which definitely added to it. I mean, I to be honest, I'm not really a fan of like how the fades kind of back and forth like that. Maybe it'd be a little bit cleaner if maybe you added some stuff in the corners or put it in the center screen or something like that. But
perhaps
I would say that the overall sync was very well done in terms of accuracy. Like it was pinpoint and accurate for pretty much the majority of the sync. And he decided to go for some very interesting weapon choices as well. I saw some like weird, I don't know what the hell that weapon is at 49 seconds.
The dragon thing?
Yeah, what the hell is that?
I don't know, it just looks cool and sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounded good. I have to say that actually sounded great. I'm just like, wow, that actually surprisingly sounds good. And I have to say the drop of the sync is pretty well done, and it's a pretty traditional drop style. But I have to say the big selling point of this gun sync, the Tempest usage at 105.
Oh, that gun just makes you hard, doesn't it?
No, just the way he used it, though.
I know.
It was just phenomenal. I've never seen the Tempest being used like that before, and it just sounded so good. And that was great. That was definitely my favorite part of the sync.
I do agree. I would have to personally say that this is probably one of my favorite syncs from the competition, just because of the variety he chose on the visuals, right? So something as simple as adding a shadow to a corner gun, that can just do so much in terms of your score, because at least it's something that's putting you apart. It doesn't have to be overly complicated like making an animated cube or making a moving panoramic effect, but if you just add those small details which make it pop out more, make it look more lively, that can go a long way into increasing your score. Also, I would like to add to the fact that throughout the Tempest aspect, as Escape mentioned, instead of just doing the traditional box method, he decided to try to do a shadowed circle method. And I thought that it could have been done a little bit better, since it wasn't good to have the top and bottom parts like cut off like that.
Out. Yeah, and I was just about to mention that too. The top and bottom is cut off of the shade there. So,
but I like the different approach he took. Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a good approach. I'm just saying if he can clean that up a little bit and make sure it looks more defined, then that visual would definitely fit in really well for sure. And going into, we're going to go into Nerdbox's critique for this guy here. He mentioned that there is a little bit of clipping distortion in the buildup. He said the mix is decent, high in some places. Some notes in the drop need to be more sustained, and he's okay with the gun choice. So,
well, I do have one small criticism about the gun choice. And that is the EM1 usage.
I knew it.
Please stop using this gun, for Christ's sakes.
Or at least use it right.
Use it right. Also, did you notice his cup and fist sync toward the end?
Oh yeah.
I'm just noticing this. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I do like the extra twist you put onto it. Just
nice.
Add a little more complexity onto that real life sync, but yeah, you got a lot of potential in terms of that. So good job.
Yeah, very nicely done. And
very classy look.
And moving on to the next round, that's definitely gonna make the competition that much more dynamic as time goes on. So, great job from Music Gamer being able to move on with that sync. And this is his first competition as well. And being able to move on to the finale in your first competition, that's not easy to do. So huge props to him. So we're going to be moving on. Finishing in 19th position, we got actually finishing with 38.8 points. Now it's the 38. Now it's the fucking 38. There we go. So 38.8 points going to Mr. Kellmeister, who finds his way into the second round once again. I have to say, song choice is great. I fucking love the song choice.
Yes.
Just beautiful. And the gun sync was just smooth throughout in its entirety. It was fast and furious. And the sprays in Rainbow Six, surprisingly done well. Like I said, not easy to master the Rainbow Six sprays, at least in my opinion, but I thought it was done well.
All right, what I personally have to say about the sync is that CC, I did like the CC. You have a lot of potential in that point, but I feel like you could have chosen a little more brighter color to go with this, a warmer color, because this kind of CC would be for something which is a little bit on the moodier or downside of things, but this is an overall fun and upbeat song, so I would say try to focus more on the hues of orange or red. It was very good, well done CC, but in terms of mood, you could have just done that to give your score an extra boost from personally me. But other than that, as Escape said, I feel like the sprays during the Rainbow Six Siege part were done very well. I also believe that your Black Ops 3 part was also done well. I bet a little bit simple. You could have probably done something with the lyrics, but honestly, very solid sync throughout. I feel like there's not many flaws I can point out on this other than things that are very small and arbitrary.
Yeah, I'd say I'll be honest, I love the CC. The CC really matches with the song, at least in my personal opinion, just because I don't know, just looks really cool. And then this type of song, sometimes a purple and a blue would really pop out in a song like this. And then like I said, you'd be surprised. And looking at some of the feedback that we got for Mr. Kellmeister, we're going to be looking at what Nerdbox said once again, because he said the mixing is good, a tad bit on the low side for the mixing, but it's still very good. The gun choice is very good. The sprays were very well executed, and the connecting DMB sections were a tad dull by comparison, and the sync had a great song choice. He said, absolutely great song choice. Presentation was good. If it were a little bit longer and had more polish, it would have been easily even higher score from Mr. Nerdbox. Which, definitely a good point. And
I agree.
I mean, it's still early yet, so we're gonna see some improvements as we go on.
It's just round one.
Yep, it's just round one, man. It's just beginning. And now we're gonna be moving on. This sync, I really enjoyed this sync. Finishing with a 39.4, we have Shark. And I always look forward to looking at Shark syncs, in particular this one, because remember when we were talking about earlier that just Shark, and when it comes to the song The Devil,
yes,
Shark knows how to approach this song, and
I couldn't agree more.
The way he approached this song, it was fast, it was furious, it was epic, it was just amazing. He really went all out on this, and I really like the usage of the the black hat there, which is really nice too. But just my favorite part of it was just that build up, and it was just him just going to town, like the reloads, the sniper shot, the shotgun, the
visuals were phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. This is why Shark is up there, and he's consistently up there, and he just consistently gets better and better and better. He's disappointed for what the result was last year. He wants redemption. He wants to win.
Exactly.
This thing shows exactly why he's up in that elite group right now.
Well deserved, man. You definitely deserve that spot. Your composition was done very well. There's not much things I can say about audio. However, I can compliment you particularly on the visual side of things. So I do enjoy the fact that you did integrate some Overwatch voice lines into this, and you added some visual effects to complement those. I do feel like they went to get hand in hand very, very well. You were also one of the few people who can do voice things effectively and efficiently, and just have it flow super well. I do want to say that your shifting fades going in and out are done super perfectly. It's not overdone to the point where it hurts eyes, but it's not underdone to the point where it's like, oh, he did that once, that's cool. You add in the transitions consistently where the gun screen like slides to the left and right, up and down, all directions, yet it's not actually distracting for the viewer. It's done super well. I have to say, man, this is one of the best visually appealing things I've seen.
And I also do want to mention the drop that Shark had in this particular sync at 105. Oh my god, just phenomenal.
Pure perfection.
I just love this drop. It was just so good. And and Nerdbox going to what he was saying, he said the effects are good, sometimes a little bit jarring, and I think he's talking about like when the screen gets super bright, which I would tend to agree with that. And Shark tends to like the very super bright CCs and really overexposing CCs, so maybe if he tones that down just a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. If he tones it down a little bit, then he'll be in really good shape. And Nerdbox said absolutely amazing job on the first drop. Well executed first drop, and I definitely have to agree with that. Just amazing.
As well. Me as well.
So, Shark really deserves to be moving on to the next round here. And now we're going to be moving on to 17th place. We are approaching the top 15. We're making some headway. So finishing with 39.6. We are almost in the 40s now. We have Calvin PC, who is another new syncer on the field here, who did Hell's Sun, and he actually did a Battlefield sync, and I thought that the CC was really nice. I love the CC that was used in the in this video in particular. And
the Shining Sun was a very nice touch. It's not blinding yet, it's there. It's good. I like it.
And then his, there was not as much, I would say, variety. The variety could have been there at least a little bit more, but there was something I really did like about this thing, just how accurate it was, how clean it was. But then at the 137 marker, he actually shoots an artillery shell, stops the clip, and then puts the video clip inside of like
very cool job.
Very creative, and he transitioned through it.
Exactly. It takes a certain kind of skill to transition like that. Very nice job warping the clip, ensuring that it goes in there perfectly.
Oh yeah, and also not to mention at the 144 marker as well. I'm not sure if you slow it down, you actually could see that the artillery shell shoots a clip out of the shell. I'm not sure if you can notice that, but that is a really cool touch as well. You just see the small clip go flying on the top of the screen. That is a really cool touch. I love that. It's just the little bits and pieces of creativity that...
It's the small things that put you forward. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And this guy definitely tried to do something new, and
it worked.
It worked out.
It worked.
I like it. It's cool. It's different. It's got pizzazz to it. It's going to really drive his performance when he's going for these competitions. It's those little things that matter, and great job from Kelvin all around. And looking at some of the
I've got a little bit of feedback as well for this.
Yeah, Nerdbox was saying that the sync surprised me. The mix is low in some places, but the CC is tolerable, which is good. The gun choice is great, good accuracy, and the mortar screen effect was very cool.
Yes, indeed. One small criticism I would have for the sync was that some of your single shots during the beginning as well as the build-up are a little too quiet in comparison to your sprays. I feel like audio balancing, it's nitpicky at this point, but if you could boost that, that would have brought it really close to perfection. I do agree that your sync probably does need to be a little bit more complicated, but what he lacks in audio capabilities, he definitely makes up for in visuals. And I do appreciate the fact that you added a little bit of sun there, because the song's called Hell Sun. Get it?
Yeah. Fucking cringy.
Nice job.
We're moving on with that. Okay, that's enough. All right, so actually there's a tie for 15th. We have a tie between Kuda Mayaki and Shadow Gamer, and that's the tie for the top 15. And we're going to start with Kuda Mayaki sync. He actually did the song Iron 5, which is a really cool song. He used, I believe that's MW3. Yeah, that's MW3 because I can recognize the golden guns there. But I have to say,
yeah, it's Modern Warfare 3.
Kuda is pacing himself right now. I could tell that he could have gone a lot harder with the sync, but he's choosing to play the pacing game, and it's really working out for him. He still finished in a very high position, all things considered. And just with this song in particular, he's able to go fast and furious on some parts just to show off. And I also like some of the unique little things he tried to add in, like at the minute 1 marker, he tried to add in like a reload sound, and it really flowed in really well. And I just thought that sounded really good. And just the CC was not too overexposed, but it was really nice, and the gun sounds were pretty good. Kuda is getting better and better every week, and
it is very impressive.
He's up there.
Yeah, it was solid all around from the beginning to the build up to the end. Audio wise, you're looking very strong. I'm not sure if I could have done the sync any better myself, or if anyone could have. If they would, it would just be marginally, just slightly improved. But what I do have to say for your sync is that, well, actually, I don't have any criticism for this. Not that I can see any.
Really?
It would probably take like a nitpicky brain like Gravity or Nerdbox to find something wrong with this. But honestly, I thought this was just solid throughout. One thing I did like about the CC about yours is the fact that just the background was lighted, but your guns were left relatively alone. So the guns were able to effectively be contrasted by the background, which I see as a problem with most people trying to pull off the CC you're doing. Because most people while they're trying to oversaturate the background, they end up like masking the gun behind the background, but you just did it well, so good job to you, my friend.
Yeah, we do have a big bout of criticism from Nerdbox. We're going to say a couple things. He said the mix and accuracy is good. He loves the CC. The sync was a tad bit short, but still good enough in length. And he said the suppressed L96 was used for three to four different like distinct wubs, which and he also mentions that it's not good to someone with a critical ear. So for professional criticism, if he can just, I would say, touch up a tad bit on the gun choice, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit on just like maybe 1 or 2 guns, and make it sound and flow just perfectly. Kuda's gonna be in great shape.
He is.
And he had a great sync going in, so he's in good shape. And not to mention, also in this, there's actually a 3-way tie. I just realized Explorer gun sync is also included in this tie. So Kuda, Shadow,
shoot, they all got 14th places.
Yeah, so Kuda, Shadow, and Explorer all tied for 14th. But we'll get into that in a minute. But now we're gonna get into Shadow Gamer's part, which really amazing work from Shadow once again, man. It's just Shadow, just his audio balancing has just gotten so much better compared to last year. Just his audio balancing in this sync, absolutely fantastic. And honestly, I don't really have any other criticisms for his sync other than just amazing job. I really love the effects he's trying to do, and he's also one of the few guys in Advanced Warfare that doesn't overuse the EM1. He actually, I don't even think he used it. Exactly. I mean, maybe he did a little bit in the beginning, but not really like a whole lot. But he really knows how to utilize sprays in Advanced Warfare, and that's super hard to do. And Shadow Gamer, once again, beautiful, just beautiful.
Very well done, Shadow Gamer. There's a few nitpicky things I can go over. I did not particularly like your CCs toward the end. It was just sort of a grayscale. When you do want to add CC, you do want to make it a little bit more dynamic. and I do see that what the effect you were trying to go for, but I just feel like it didn't really add to the sync. And also, I just like to comment on the flow of your sync. I can see this pattern that you were going for from like hard style to like chill to another dubsteppy thing to chill to another like hard dubstep thing. And although it didn't like take off any like points from me personally, I do think one improvement you can do is just like try to find a genre that you're good with and like stick to it, or like just don't like constantly switch. So like maybe you could have just chosen like maybe one really good chill sync you could have done, and then 2 dubstep songs you could have done well, and just try to like mix them well. But like if you're constantly like switching between both styles, then honestly it does like take the viewer away from the experience a little bit, because they're constantly like switching.
So with that, I do want to mention that Nerdbox had a very clear, this is actually a really funny comment. Nerdbox said that thought the bass house section was going to suffer from quote unquote EM1 syndrome. And he said, I was pleasantly surprised. Accuracy was good, gun choice was good. The transitions between songs were and like the big thing that he was going to criticize on was the transitions between songs were not really well thought out and just kind of jarring. But he also liked the CC. The CC was pretty good, but just the fact he thought that there was going to be EM1 syndrome in there. Shadow completely he didn't even add EM1s in there, which really made things a little bit different, which is really cool. And his audio balancing, I mean, yeah, he could still fix a couple places just to make it more refined, but a lot better. His audio balancing is a lot better compared to what it was in
huge improvement.
Absolutely huge. And
oh my God, you can't say that.
Yep, I can now. But, we're gonna be moving on to Explorer Gunsync, and dude, I'm telling you, even before we start the Gunsync, just the whole theme that he has, this Gunsync world thing, this theme.
Yeah. His intro is just one of the things that sets him apart, and I think it's done well. It's not too long. It's not distracting. I like it.
Yeah, it's just cool, and it's just a little nice addition that goes with it. And then the overall sync itself, time to go to the overall sync. I really love the gun choices that Explorer decided to go with here. And I mean, in the beginning, it was more of the simple but yet effective side. The sprays were pretty good. The sniper usage was good, but then it picked up pretty good. It had a really nice pace, and the Gunsync really started to establish the pace, and it really built up as time went on. And then when the drop happened, just very nicely done. And the weapon choices were great. The Tempest choice, once again, the Tempest. I'm sorry. When these Gunsynkers at this level use the Tempest like that, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I also have to mention, nice use of the ballistic knife as well. I'm not sure if you noticed that. The ballistic knife, amazing use of that. That was nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I think Black Ops, this was the perfect song for Black Ops 3. You had very good taste, my friend. Good decision to choose Black Ops 3. I think the sounds synced up very well together. I did like the visual effects that you tried to pull off. The shifting from side to side, the quick fade-ins, the fade-outs, the side swindles, the quick use of lyrics. I think that's what helped put you apart, man. It's just small visual things like that. Your CC was also well done, not oversaturated. Not oversaturated, yet not distracting. Overall, good job.
So then we're going to be looking at what Nerdbox was saying. Nerdbox saying, cool intro, very slick transitions, a little bit strong on the CC, but he still said that, and he said that the CCs are still pretty good, other than just being a little bit strong, especially in the second half of the sync, and then solid accuracy throughout, and it just amazing. And he also did say that this is compounded by the mix, by the mix being low in places, making some very distinct sounds. And he also said cool topography. So
one of my favorites in the competition as well.
Yeah, that, definitely, for sure. No questions asked. It was just really good. I enjoyed this sync in particular, and it was awesome. So now we're going to be moving on. Now that we're out of that clusterfuck tie, so now we're going to be going to new heights here. We have finishing at a 40.9 in 13th place.
Mini Ghost.
This guy came out of nowhere as well. I was not expecting him to come around, but the reload pistol usage and just his pistol usage throughout was just fucking amazing. And his audio balancing for all the shit that was going on screen, beautiful. Just beautiful. I would argue that maybe the sprays could be at least a little bit improved.
Louder.
I'm a little bit disappointed in the Mini Uzi and the P90 and the MP5K sprays from Modern Warfare 2. Just a little bit, because I know that they could sound a lot more crisper than that. I'd also say that the MW3 sprays could be a little bit better. But overall, still very entertaining sync. And then my favorite part was in the middle. The Infinite Warfare part was just sounded really cool. And then at 125, my favorite part just comes up. Just the Rainbow Six Siege hammer.
The hammer. Yes.
That was so cool. That was unique.
I do see where you're coming from.
That was definitely a unique way of using the hammer. Great job on the hammer usage, for sure.
Yeah, I think most of what I want to say has already been said. This is one of the examples of multi-game done well, because you have the best aspects of all these games coming together: the reload sounds of Black Ops 3, the bass sounds from Infinite Warfare, as well as the Orisa sounds just to add on to the hi-hats from Overwatch. This is just a good example of good synergy. Very good, solid game choice, and you are very good in making a decision. I'm not sure if this came from experimentation or just pure insight, but very well done. Criticism I would have is the Advanced Warfare, because it sounds.
I was just about to say that.
It
just doesn't
generic.
sound as great. Yeah, and I mean, the reload sounds are really good. I mean, my main criticism on the Advanced Warfare part is on very few of the things. He did a very good job with the S12 spray. He did a very good job on most of the weapons in that area. It was just when it got to the energy weapons, the EM1, and the initial couple sprays.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely what I want to highlight there. All right, moving on through the list, finishing in 12th place with a total of 41.6 points. We have Daobao, 13, and him with a very strong finish in round number 1. And he actually did a Battlefield 4 sync for his sync here, and I have to say there was a lot of good things with this sync in particular. The CC usage was quite nice for his. Pretty good black bar usage I can't even talk properly, but Daobao coming in with a Battlefield 4 sync with pretty good CC usage, good weapons choices, and very good black bar usage on the top and bottom side of the sync, and very good accuracy throughout, which was definitely one of the things that made Daobao's strength super strong, as well as the weapons choice that he made with the sync. I just felt like with the song choice that he had, Battlefield was just a great fit for this song.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect for this song. And personally, I thought that in the beginning for your slowdown cinematics, I usually don't like slowdown cinematics since it's super generic and it's just a cop-out. I thought you used a cool twist with like the speed-ups in between the intro for like to symbolize a little bit of quietness and like sudden build-ups. So I definitely could accept the fact that you did slowdown cinematics, so I'd say good job on that. I would have to say that the main guns and the shotguns were a little bit quieter, and it could be on the louder side. I couldn't hear those guns that well compared to the actual music. And I did feel like your build-up was a little bit slow, with lacking a couple of elements. You could make it a little more exciting by adding a couple more guns, maybe adding a couple artificial beats using your reloads and such. And also, you had some pretty nice visual effects and color correction, as Escape said earlier. I did like these special effects where the middle of the screen was sort of whited out. You did a very good balance of making sure that the guns weren't actually masked out by the CC. Very nice. And what I particularly liked about your sync is the fact that you didn't just resort to sprays for the drops or just rapid fire, but you actually took time for the drop. During those dubstep parts, you actually took time to shoot every single gun singularly, not just resorting to sprays. So I thought you had a very interesting twist onto syncing it for that end, and that's definitely bonus points for me. And I did enjoy the fact that you tried to make the sync very in of itself without having the first part of the drop being a carbon copy paste of the second part. And although the sync was overall on the simpler side, it was masterfully executed. So well done, Dao Bao.
Yeah, I think Dao Bao was looking for the simple but yet super effective approach, as they would say, and I think that Dao Bao did an excellent job in that regard. And looking at what some of the other judges said, going to what Nerdbox was saying on this sync, he said exceptionally well done in all aspects. And very small but very simple words from Nerdbox. And he also said that CC was very good, the pre-drop effect was pretty cool, and consistently high levels of accuracy and skill was really what propped the score up to where it is. And I definitely have to agree with that. Accuracy was one of the biggest selling points of this sync in particular, and the weapons usage was just fantastic. And this weapon usage at the drop in particular, very good use of the sprays, and as well as the CC usage for the drop. I love the CC for the drop in particular. It's really beautiful. And very good speed, and even though it's simple, just very effective. So well done coming in from Dao Bao. Very good round one finish from him. And by the way, Dao Bao finished with 41.6 points. Excuse me, not 41.9. 41.9 is the man who finished in 11th place, which we're going to move on to now. We have Huzel Puzel coming in with the 11th place finish. And I have to say, Huzel's syncs, just ever since I've been watching this guy, he just tends to get more and more creative with each and every sync. And let's
see that trend of improvement as it goes on.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's not creative necessarily just with the effects. Like a lot of people like Huzel tended to go with the very creative effects and a very creative way of presenting the sync, but I have to say, Huzel did something quite cool with the beginning, let alone the effects he added in. I'm not sure if you really paid attention to this part, but
it was the pitch shifting.
Yeah, the pitch shift with the arrows, or the bow and arrow from, I believe that's Hanzo from
Overwatch.
Yeah, that was the usage from that was just so strong. It was just amazing. Like, I've never seen anybody use it like that before. It was quite cool. And it actually seemed, yeah, it was different spin off. Different pitch shifting for that Hanzo bow and arrow there, and it just fit in with the song quite well, and it really fit into the song as a whole. And then we transitioned to the other part of the sync where there's just a lot of editing going on, a lot of good sprays, a lot of good stuff from Black Ops 3 coming in. Very good CC usage, very good effects as a whole, very clean, very smooth throughout, and boxing glove usage. Once again, Huzel just seems to be very good at melee weapon usage, and that was definitely one of his stronger points of the sync as well. And then looking at what else he did throughout the sync, he did the double split screen, the top and bottom split screen. That was top and bottom split screen. That was a very nice use of that at that 45-second marker there.
It wasn't just a typical top-bottom screen too. He actually tried to vary the shapes a little bit.
Yeah, that was quite cool. And then also the shape at, I believe, 103, 105, around there. That was a really nice little split that he had there too. And then the CC usage at 110 was just phenomenal. I love the CC there. It was just beautiful. That powerful red that just comes in at the 110 marker. Just absolutely beautiful. And then goes back to the Hanzo at the 210 marker, and just once again the Hanzo usage was just amazing in this sync. And then the later stages he tries some new effects, kind of trying to go with your style, Jaden, at least the similar style, I'd say. I can see what a similarity is, and you did a pretty good job with it, replicating your style there.
Not bad job at all. So some criticisms on this sync that I do have is that although the pitch shifting in the beginning was innovative, and I did like the effect, the perspective you try to take on the sync, the problem I just had was the fact that the Hanzo bow wasn't actually on key. You did the pitch shifting intonations correctly, but the base key it was on wasn't quite good, so it wasn't as harmonious as I would like it to be. So if you could pay extra attention just to find that bass note to go off of and then shift accordingly, this could have turned out a lot better. And on top of that, the reloads I personally thought needed to be volume balanced more, since I could hear some of the reloads overpowering the other ones, since I couldn't hear some of your pistol reloads and all of that on top of that. And also, I wonder what you did with your sprays. I think you might have sped them up super fast, or you might have just tried to EQ the top ends, but they're definitely not what I've heard before. But anyways, I feel like you're missing a lot of bass frequencies on the sprays, so even if it was a cool idea to try to pursue, I just recommend leaving in the bass ends so it can stay consistent and it can have that click on it. Oh, excuse me. And I like the fact that you were varying from what's typical. ISO, nice utilization of melee weapons during the drop. Like, take notes from this, man, people. Melee weapons can add a whole nother slew of different sounds you can add onto your syncs. You don't just have to utilize sprays. You can use these other melee weapons. So everyone just try to take notes on what he's been doing. And yeah, nice job setting an example for everyone. So I am proud of you for using everything at your disposal. So great job, Puzel.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Nerdbox is talking about. What you were exactly just saying. Nerdbox said something very similar to that. He said the speed up sprays sounded very tiny and poorly done. The pitch shifting of Hanzo was very cool, although the pitch was tad off in some places. He said the layout is clean and professional. And also to round it off, he said, quote unquote, the effects scream Jaden.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Very, very nice touch. And it was basically exactly what you were saying. Yeah, he could work on the pitch shifting a little bit just to make it a little bit different, but definitely something different than what we've seen from everybody else.
I very much appreciate that. Trying to take it in a different direction.
Yeah, just that creativity. That's definitely what helped him get into that top 12 position. It's just that's what you gotta do. You gotta be creative. Sometimes you get shot down a little bit, but it's and the way I've seen it, it's only minor changes for Huzel, man. Just fantastic sync all the way around.
At this point, yeah. Flawless.
Hey, fucking man. And now we're gonna be transitioning to the top 10. Oh my god! And
pay attention to the fancier intros now, people. You deserve them.
Yeah. Top 10 is just absolutely amazing showing from these guys as well. Not to take away from the rest of the competition, but the reason that these top 10 guys are here is just these guys were absolutely phenomenal. We're going to be starting with the 10th position, finishing off with 42.3 points. The Russian sinker, Sturmdown. And personally...
I think it's Sturmdown.
Sturmdown, I'm sorry. Man, I ruined the fucking epic intro that I was trying to do for him, but that's okay. We got Sturmdown, who did one of my favorite songs. I remember Lewis Tech first introduced this song back in Season 2, the song Bombs, and my god, this is one of my favorite syncs in the competition so far. Just the speed that this sync has, and how this guy went fast and furious throughout the entire sync, kept it consistent, and it was just a super powerful sync all the way through. And very unlikely choice that would actually make it mix well was Infinite Warfare. I was actually really surprised how well the Infinite Warfare matched up with this. I would say, like, in a couple places, like, certain things don't fit in with it, but really minor, to be honest with you. And I think that just all the way through, just consistency at its finest. There was not even a point of this sync where it even slowed down. It wasn't even slowing down at certain points, with the exception of maybe just the break at the, I believe it's the 2:30 marker around there. They were just waiting for the next drop, but it was just fast and furious the whole way through. And just the consistency is the big selling point with this sync that I really loved.
Yes, I also very much agree. I also personally love Bombs. It's one of my favorite songs, and usually Fantastic. I don't like hard dubstep syncs. It's just a trait of my personal opinion. I do like syncs on the more chill side of things, but this is definitely not one of the typical syncs I've seen. This is definitely one of the outliers where I can fully say I 100% enjoyed this hard style sync. Infinite Warfare and the song go very well, and although Black Ops 2 is a rare sight because it's a little more difficult for singers to pull out successfully, you just nailed it, man. It's really satisfying to see you pull it off especially well. I do believe that you went a little bit overboard in changing the CC. As we said earlier, too frequently changing your CCs can be a problem and can be distracting from the viewing experience, but I don't think it actually affected it in a major way, so props to you. Definitely better volume balancing, so good job there compared to the other syncs. Now, I like how there's always something happening in the sync. Like, there's never a boring part of the sync or just one where there's a pause. You can always see action on the screen. There's always something going on. It's just constant excitement and action going on through the entire 3 minutes or 4 minutes of the sync. Very well done. Reloads, punches, and tacticals were honestly the best part of his sync. Very, very well done. The fast reloads were executed at the end flawlessly. Accuracy and mixing aren't a problem, so great job, Stormdown.
And another thing that I really love about this sync was he used Black Ops 2 in a very healthy amount, where he didn't really overuse Black Ops 2, but he used it in just a perfect fashion, just like for the build-up, and then also to add it in as the support role for the Infinite Warfare part of the sync. And it was just great usage of games throughout this this submission. And most people don't really think about how much they're going to use of a game, really, and how much of an impact that really is going to have. Like, some people tend to overuse certain games and stuff like that, but this was just perfect. One of the best syncs for games usage that I've ever really seen. And not that for me it really adds a lot of points on a sync, but it was just a very nice touch.
I do believe that the synergy is what pushed him up to top 10, because
for sure.
Because those games that song just matched perfectly.
Yeah, and we got some words from TBG saying, very good sync. And I figured that we outlined some of his comments. And we're also going to say, look at Nerdbox. He said, text at the start is a tad bit unprofessional, but not really too bad. Nothing too big from Natty. He also said that using black frames to add a shutter effect. Not really a great decision, at least from Nerdbox's point of view here. He also said that the gun choice is excellent, mix is tolerable, good technical skill displayed throughout, and a little bit of minor clipping distortion throughout, which I did see a little bit, which is it wasn't too bad, but
not huge.
It's not too bad, but I think that if Sturm can go in there and fix up a little bit and touch it up just a tad bit, he can put himself in a top 5 position. This guy can make it into the finale. I think if this guy can really work at it, this guy has a chance to fucking win a title, man.
Yeah, exact. No question about it.
And now we're going to be moving on to number 9. Number 9 finishing with a total of 43.3 points. And this guy just keeps getting better and better every year. It is Keen Falcon Gaming with the Wakanda gun sync, which... You know, the Wakanda Forever memes. Here they go. But I have to say, Falcon went absolutely fucking berserk first round. Like, god damn.
Jesus, bad shit. Crazy, man.
I have to say, Falcon just gets crazier and crazier with each competition that comes out. And god damn, he went hella hard first round, man. I hope he is pacing himself for the second and third round. But you could just see why Falcon is one of the top American sinkers, probably next to you, I'd say. But
I'm
right
flattered.
Now, well, you did win last year, and you were the #1 guy, and you're from America, so that's what I'm basing this all off of too. But for sure, Keen Falcon, just one of the top American sinkers out there for a reason. Just crazy transitions, crazy weapons usage, great accuracy throughout. I really like the CC changes as well. I mean, usually I'm not too crazy about like the CC changes so aggressively like that, but the way that Falcon does it is like quite cool. And just the way that he transitioned through games and the different usages of games and the versus bar in the center, that was quite cool as well, which had like the beam, like the lightsaber beam there, and just the wide variety of effects that were used. Holy shit, man. There's crazy. Absolutely crazy sync coming in from Falcon. I can see why he's got that top 10 sync there.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
And through all that craziness, he still manages to keep his professionalism and skillfulness up. The weird reload pattern and the timing of the beginning of the song, it was on the difficult side, but somehow you managed to pull it out perfectly, so very nice job on that front. It looks like you were trying to implement every single effect on Sony Vegas, just trying to go through the lakes of visual effects, yet it somehow actually worked. It wasn't distracting, it wasn't mind-boggling, it didn't give me a headache, it worked. And it made it look really cool, so there's always something going on the sync, which is stopping it from it becoming stale. So props to you for keeping the viewer engaged throughout the entire sync. I do admit that some of the sprays could have been done better, as well as some of the Overwatch voice lines, since our timing wasn't quite right, and sometimes your choices of sprays could have been better, as well as some volume issues. And additionally, according to that, some of your CC effects could have been improved just a little bit. You could like tone down the intensity And I would like to give you a point of advice, Falcon. Just don't try to do as many different kinds of CC effects as you can do. Just find a couple which look fabulous and just stick to them. Your logo a bit, I believe it was cool with the fire effect on the corner. I think it was a bit too large, so make it smaller in future rounds. But overall, accuracy was on point. Volume mixing was almost flawless. Very nice job.
I have to say, by the way, one of my favorite parts from Falcon's Sync, the 114 marker, like the rotating rotating. I was just so shocked by it. I can't even say it correctly, man. There's just that rotating text box. Holy shit, man! You went to fucking town with this sync. I have to tell you, man. This is easily one of Falcon's top syncs I've seen so far.
Probably the best.
Yeah, I honestly think. To say, just because of how much he went to town with this, man. Just absolutely fucking phenomenal, man. Like, great job from Falcon here. So now we're going to be looking at what some of the professionals back in the booth said with Falcon's Sync in particular. Looking at what Nerdblock said, he said the CRT effect at the start is cool. He said the layout is cool all the way throughout. He said CC is a tad bit strong in some places. Effects are cool. He did also say that the mix is a little bit low. You can work on the mixing just a little bit. Bit on the shorter sync, on the short side. Effects are cool. Some seemed thrown in just for the sake of it. You know, like I could kind of respect that from Nerdbox. But I love what Team Falcon is doing. He's experimenting around and just the experimentation just seemed to work out in his favor, man.
It didn't hurt the sync at all, so it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, if he could touch up a little bit, even more, I would say the same thing goes with the Falcon with the Sturm down. Same thing with Falcon, just touch it up a little bit, and he's going to have a shot at winning this, man. He's got a great shot.
Easily.
All right, so now we're going to be moving on to the 8th position. Finishing in 8th place with a total of 45.2 points. We have the return of magnificent quality. We've seen this guy go to town before, and this guy is crazy with some of the syncs he's done. In Season 2, he finished in the top 3. And
he finished first in the qualifying round.
Oh, yeah. This guy's crazy. Really bringing pride to the German nation here. As 6 cinematics in the beginning. I love how he does the cinematic edits. Wasn't really like the most impressive thing about this, but
it was unique though compared to like slow motion gun clips. He does have definitely originality.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I haven't really seen many syncers do that, but looking at exactly what he was doing, with the actual sync itself, good CC usage throughout, very good weapons usage, and the only thing I would say about this sync, there's a tiny tad bit missed potential in this sync, especially when it comes to the drop. I did, however, like the Dragon Ball Z theme going in the background there. That was quite a interesting touch there. That was pretty damn cool. But in terms of weapon usage was pretty good. Like I said, just a couple missed potential, like in the drop, but not too bad. But the transition's quite nice when he transitions at the 130 marker, and then the Black Ops 2 part, he just goes to town. And this is exactly why magnificent quality is on the top of the leaderboards for the German nation, only behind Taubsy in this case. But he's just so good, and I've never seen magnificent quality with a bad sync ever since Season 2, man. Like, just this guy.
No, those two words don't go together.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, as I said earlier, your cinematics you took a unique approach to the cinematics, so I definitely appreciate that. I'm not sure if I recognized that game in the beginning. What was that? Battlefield 3?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's Sparkles' pack. I think it's Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
Because I remember Sparkles released that pack a while back, and I looked in the description. It said that Sparkles 100 HD. That's on the pack list. So I think that was the pack.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's a pack that we don't see often, so props to you for trying to use something else, something different from what other people are using. And I'd just like to point out in this one that the songs, they flowed very well into each other. There were no like skippy, jumpy parts, no shady transitions. Everything just flowed into one song to another. I would have believed personally if this was just one long track, but then he managed to mix it super well, so nice job on that as well. And this is for one an Advanced Warfare sync that I can tolerate, and perhaps on a good day, because we've just seen so many Advanced Warfare syncs, and just not all of them just failed to meet our expectations. But this is one of the few Advanced Warfares. They're just the rare gems in the pod, which can make me believe that, alright, you can use this game in some very special cases. So you have that unique skill quality, so nice job on that.
Yeah, I just say it's very difficult to... like nowadays, since Advanced Warfare is like the basic game for gun syncing, it's like kind of like the most basic game for gun syncing. Most gun syncers tend to just go with that EM1 spam approach and just hope it gets somewhere and then add in some other weapons in there as well. At least some more of those amateur gun syncers do that. But Magnificent Quality is one of the best Advanced Warfare gun syncers out there, and I'll tell you why. Just because he knows when to use certain weapons. He knows the gun usage. He just knows what to do in a certain given situation with the song beat. And this goes for any song that I've seen him do. It's just crazy. And I really like the implementation of Battlefield 3 in there as well, to really add just a little bit of variety in there, just to make it a little bit different. So it's not just, Advanced Warfare, but very nicely done for Magnificent Quality.
Exactly.
Looking at what Nerdbox was saying as well, he's saying the mix was generally good, high in some places with minor clipping, with some clipping distortion. And he said if the Dragon Ball Z thing if the Dragon Ball Z theme had carried on, or you switched to a different one you would have easily gotten an 8. But it felt like the start and had more of a focus and passion put into it, and the rest was just to finish the thing. But very nice sync from Magnificent Quality.
I do very much agree. And
then wrap it up, TBG was saying, hope to see more slick stuff from him.
I'd just like to say one more final comment. I do believe that just one small criticism from me, your pauses were just a little bit too long. So if you do want to keep up the flow of the sync, just make sure you don't pause for like a solid 5 seconds. Just make sure you always have something going on throughout the sync. So overall, it's still a very good job.
All right, we're going to be moving on to 7th place. And speaking of the Germanic Brotherhood here, Tobzi is going to be coming in with the 7th place, finishing with 45.6. So Germany is going to be finishing 7th and 8th in this first round here. And I believe both of these guys are going to be going for the pacing game right now, which I was hoping, I was expecting Tobzi to be higher on the leaderboards, but he's going to be finishing 7th. But still a very solid finish from Tobzi. And he's going with the more simple approach just to start off, just to get off the first round. And by the way, I have to mention, love the little side note that he has in the 10-second marker. $10 on Trolendus not finishing, but unfortunately for him, he's gonna lose those $10 though, since Trolendus actually finished. It was quite a little nice side note there. But anyways, on to the sync itself. I really love the approach that he was doing. Really kind of like a cleaner style of what he did back in Season 2 finale, which was ultimately the reason why he won, was this new style that he implemented, this black and white chroma key style. And he actually used, I'm not sure if that's Battlefield 3 or
Battlefield 4.
That's Battlefield 4. Okay.
Yeah, I recognize the weapons.
Okay, but very nice usage of the Battlefield weapons throughout. I really like the chroma key is just super clean as well. I really like that. That's really nice and slick. And then the changes of the CC's not super aggressive on this guy, and I really like the usage of the CC's when he goes to flashbang, and Tobzi going with the simple but super effective approach, and it seemed to work out very well for him. So great job from Tobzi. He's gonna be moving on.
Great job, yeah. As usual, you used your signature visual effects. So once again, honestly, it's probably the best one we've seen so far, and it's one of its only kind, so it's super cool. But on a lesser enthusiastic note, I'm not sure what you did with your sprays, but it's just that I could not hear them. I don't know if you mess with the frequency with the sprays or if you just like shortened them up too small, but you just gotta fix your volume mixing on that, so go ahead and fix that. But it is very simple compared to the other things around this position, so I can see that you're definitely holding yourself back, but just like make sure you come back with something more explosive for round 2. But otherwise, every other aspect was flawless, and so great job. And oh yeah, on a personal note, I thought your logo was very cool. One of the other rare instances where the logo actually adds to the syncing experience. So very nice touch.
Yeah, Tobzi always seems to come out with super fucking cool logos each and every time. And even when he was doing the boss sync as well back in Season 3, and he actually did the boss sync just to add to the competition a little bit. I love the logos that he had. Those were quite cool, nice touch to it. And this one really cool as well. I really love the this is not really for scores, it's just for more like a background kind of boost for the guy. And I would say just great job on the sync, though. I mean, I know he's holding back, so right now he's gonna be playing the pacing game and getting ready for the next round. That is a very veteran play to do, and Tubbsy is the only 4-year veteran in this competition. Isn't that scary to think about? Ooh. Like, he's the only guy since the very, very beginning that's in this competition who's made it to the finale in basically every single competition. And we only count season 3 because the boss thinks pretty much.
Yeah.
But he still had the skill back then to.
Let's see if he can take another win.
Yeah, and keep in mind, folks, he is the only guy that is in position to win a second title right now. He's the only. If he wins the second title, second Kings of Sinks title, he'll be the only sinker to do so, and that'd be historic if he can do that. And
but right now, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at what some of the judges said, Nerdbox was saying the vocal sample was far too loud in the mixing. Sync thing doesn't really go anywhere, which I was really unsure what Nerdbox was saying there. I'll have to ask him specifically what he was thinking there. He could also verify in the comments there. He also said the mixing is good, tad bit on the low side, and effects seems to be tad bit crude as this time comes around. Probably because there's a lot of other people that are starting to implement this sync that Tubbsy introduced back in season 2. And then he also said that the effect probably because last time the use of the negative space was far better. It's a very short sync for his taste, but he said gun choice absolutely excellent, accuracy pretty good, and good use of the resonant filter and strong grasp of fundamentals, which is definitely something you don't hear, like strong grasp of fundamentals. A lot of sinkers they have trouble getting the basic fundamentals down for audio mixing, and that's really the big thing here. And Tubbsy did a very good job with that. Yeah. Very simple, effective, and he's got himself in the next round.
Well done.
So with that, we're going to be moving on to 6th place, finishing with a 45.8. We got High Ham, and High Ham is actually the top Vietnamese sinker on the board right now. And this sync is going to tell you exactly why, man. This guy just seems to fill every single beat of this song possible, and this song is pretty difficult. And I have to say, it was just crazy what this guy can do, man. And as you would say, he could be potentially the next Nguyen Nam, or Nguyen Nam. I know that a lot of people in the Vietnamese community were making fun of me for saying Nguyen Nam. I don't blame him. It's funny, but this guy could be the next Nguyen Nam, and this guy.
I'm not doubting that. I actually think he has the potential.
Oh yeah, I agree. And just anyways, the sync in general, great game choice, I would say. Modern Warfare 3 was definitely an excellent game choice, and then he also transitioned a little bit into Modern Warfare 2. Definitely added some, and then he also added some Advanced Warfare. I thought the Advanced Warfare usage in this particular sync was excellent. I loved what he did in Advanced Warfare. Definitely the Pytech usage was great. The EM1 reload sounds were great. He didn't overuse the fucking EM1s, which was definitely a
thank God.
Lol. And I have to say, though, the EM1 usage at the 250 marker or actually, no, the 247 marker, if you listen to that part, just EM1 usage just sounds perfect. Wasn't overused, it was just used at a perfect moment. And
I guess.
I honestly, I particularly liked it, man. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And transitioning into the Black Ops 3 part, Black Ops 3 was pretty good as well, other than maybe the moaning. I'm not sure why he added that in there.
Oh, no, you had to add that sound for taste.
Yeah, I guess you gotta have a little personality in there, I suppose. You know, I mean,
he went the boundary that I wasn't willing to cross.
Yeah, and just all around, man. Accuracy was great. Gun weapon usage was great. The audio mixing I thought was just beautiful. Wasn't too loud, wasn't too bad, and the CC usage was good too. Like, wasn't super obnoxious or anything. Just thought it was just enough, and just used perfectly, man. I loved it.
Super strong. Visual effects were freaking dope. There weren't too many, yet they were timed at the exact correct moments where it was enjoyable, and it gave definitely the biggest punch within the sync. So that's where you managed to strike your balance. The balance between too much, too little, to find out where it makes the best impact. So great job there. Sprays were also done very well. I would have to say that it's not my favorite song choice, but despite that, I cannot deny that it is a superbly done sync. Now, I just want to put out a disclaimer that there's there's a few things. There's nothing necessarily wrong with using advanced warfare, but for the
advanced welfare.
Basically, it's advanced welfare for sinkers at this point. But
advanced welfare for everybody, boys. Yeah.
Oh my god! But for the nth time, stop using the EM1 unless you can do it right. I will make an exception since you used it in a correct note, but come on, you could have chosen other spray weapons. But whatever, the past is the past. Good integration of proper visual effects and nice.
I personally don't have anything wrong with his EM1 usage in this thing. I just thought that sounded really good, the EM1s for this one.
I do agree.
He didn't go super overboard with this one. Like, if he went super overboard, it'd be a different story. But he used it just enough.
I do agree. It did match up with the feeling of the sync. And also, nice sounds during that part of your sync.
Are you okay, Jaden? Jesus, man.
Sarcasm. But your shaking logo, I would have to say, is a bit of a distraction. So, like, just tone down your logo shaking by a lot. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to go with the shaking logo for some of their syncs. It's just a relatively basic approach to it. Sorry, my mic was, like, down the bottom. But, shaking logo is just definitely more of like a average approach to kind of try to add something to the sync. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, in the beginning it was quite cool when it transitioned in, but then after that it was just kind of like a little bit unnecessary, like a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say maybe he can definitely tone down on that. But looking at what some of the other judges have said on High Ham, TBG said, "Holy crap, he is so underrated," which I have to say he's right, man. This guy is underrated, man, and just how he pulled out all those cards first round, man. If he can continue up this consistency, he's got a great shot at this finale. He
Rising legend,
this, man. He could potentially win this, man, and become maybe the first Vietnamese sinker to win the Kings of Sinks competition. That'd be amazing to see this guy in victory lane, man. And also, Nerdbox was saying on the more tactical side of the review, he was saying, excellent sync. The mixing was good. Gun choice was excellent. Accuracy was excellent. He did say that he felt like the Advanced Warfare section paled in comparison to the Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2 section. I do agree with that a little bit, with the exception of I thought the EM1 usage in the Advanced Warfare part was just fantastic. I liked it. I personally thought it was pretty cool. And then he also said, quote unquote, the candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long, which is very nice quote coming in from Nerdbox. And I believe what he's trying to say is that the candle that burns in the beginning, where he really pushes out the beginning, he's got to make sure to keep the consistency up, and I think he's got great consistency. He's got great potential to make it even better.
He just has to make sure that he has enough ideas to last it through the 3 rounds.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what Nerdbox is saying. He's got to he's telling High Ham, make sure to pace yourself, because this guy is one of the rookies in this competition, man, and he's with the highest finishing rookie in this competition for sure, man. And it was just absolutely crazy that this guy could keep up with a lot of these veterans up there. So great job from High Ham, and congratulations on being the top Vietnamese sinker in the field. Absolutely awesome. So with that, we're going to be moving to the top 5 sinkers. This list of 5 sinkers, I was really shocked to see this list in particular, especially with this round, and it was pretty cool. But finishing in 5th place with 47 points flat. 47 flat. We have Turtle, which I was really shocked to see Turtle finish this high up in the leaderboards. And I have to say that it was a short, simple, effective sync, but it was just cool. Like, I really love this. Like, I'd say the text was really nice. It wasn't really super distracting or anything like that, but very nice and big text. But just the simplicity of the sync reminds me of how Jarrell got into round 2 or got into season 2 finale, where he went with the simple but effective approach. I think with Turtle it was the same thing. He just seemed to have very good accuracy, very good quality of clips, and the text was great. The transitions were also really good. And then when he got to the drop, he also did some pretty good sprays. I really liked the spray usage from this game, and I believe it was Modern Warfare 2. He had great spray usage there. Very good Overwatch usage there for the short time that it had the Overwatch in there. And then he also had pretty good Advanced Warfare usage as well. I don't think I saw the EM1s put in once in there. And then just the transitions of the sync were definitely the big tell of the sync for sure. And then the Rainbow Six Siege sprays, fucking great. Love the Rainbow Six Siege clips there. It was definitely one of the few syncs that had Rainbow Six in there that was used effectively. Wasn't overused, but used just right. And then transitioning to the end, I mean, I would say the black bar is a little bit on the big side just because it cuts off kind of like the bottom and you can't see part of the gun.
Yeah.
But I would say maybe to fix that up just a little bit. But overall, simple but super effective sync coming in from Turtle. And you made the UK proud, man. Great job, Turtle.
Great job, Turtle. This was honestly masterfully executed. I do like one aspect of the syncs, which is the proper balance between a simple and yet a complex sync. So you managed to, there's honestly nothing wrong with the first part of your sync. I can't really figure out any flaws. I very much like the dynamic text lyric effects that you did. When the words fade out, you don't just have them fade out regularly, you actually have some special added effects. So maybe you blur them, maybe you spin them. I just like that special attention to detail, so that was bonus points from me. I also very much like the visual effects you pulled off during the drop. Not only the certain angle, different kind of shots, also the use of shadow frames on top of this. I very much like that. It's just that everything was just kept dynamic and alive, so I was constantly kept engaged throughout this entire sync and I wasn't bored out of my mind. So great job on this. Honestly amazing.
All right, so looking at what some of the other judges said in particular here, we are going to look at what TBG said first. He said the lyrics on the screen on point. And that was definitely something that I wanted to add in as well. Just really cool lyrics in the video. The text quality was great. But then looking at what Nerdbox was saying on a more expanded note, he said, excellent sync. Mix was good. Slightly low in places, not too bad. And then kinetic topography was just absolutely fantastic. Felt like the sprays and the drop aren't too defined between each other. In the advanced warfare section, he said the effects were applicated well, executed great, and added great experience to the sync. And then he said, however, the sync was a little bit on the short side, and my monitor was not ultra wide. And why are there damned black bars? So, basically, Nerdbox wanted a larger screen to watch that. If he had the larger screen, he would have.
Yeah, that's all it was.
But still, really cool though. Really great, really good sync from Turtle, and definitely, actually, looking at this sync, it was one of Nerdbox's higher scores that he gave from the competition as well. He gave Turtle a 9.
One of the 10. Few 9s. Actually, I think it's only one of 2.
Yeah, I think the other one is the guy that finished first place.
Yeah,
which we'll get to later on. But
well, you get the Nerdbox seal of approval, so great job.
Oh yeah, that's huge, man. If you get the Nerdbox seal of approval, man, like you're definitely going places, man. Just keep that up, man. Just keep it up, Turtle. Great job, buddy. So we're gonna be looking at the 4th place finisher here, and this top 4 just so dynamic. And by the way, 4th place beat out 5th by literally 0.1 points. But looking at 4th place with 47.1 points, it is your boy Commando Derp coming in with the funky falling rattlesnake sync, and he also used a little bit of heist at the end too, which is a really cool addition. But just Commando sync, oh my god, it was just beautiful all the way from beginning to end. Consistency was just fantastic in this sync. I really love the use of the cinematics at the 30-second marker. I mean, he overlaid it above a couple of beats, and maybe he could have added some gun sync beats there just to add to it at around the 44-second marker, stuff like that. But just all the way through, the weapons usage was just fantastic. Overwatch is used beautiful. I love the Overwatch part of this sync. And usually it's hard for me to say that an Overwatch sync is good. Usually, I'm not really favorable of Overwatch, to be honest, because a lot of people, there's very few people like Nerdbox and like Commando that actually know how to properly use the voice syncs and properly know how to use the weapons usage. But Commando just did it beautifully, and I love the cinematics. I love the topography. I love the transitions between the different games and stuff like that. And also, not to mention, he transitioned into Battlefield 4, which was really smooth. He did the split screen again, actually adding in Fallout 4, one of the few syncers to actually add Fallout 4 super effectively, which great job from Commando on that part. And then also adding in some Modern Warfare 2. And then when the heist part comes out, oh boy, looks like I'm at a bike race, man. Look how fast he was going down that track with those CSGO weapons, man. That was cool. Love that. And just the classic Commando CS:GO that I just love. Commando's great with CS:GO. I love how Commando uses CS:GO, and usually most CS:GO moving syncs were at its prime back when Nerdbox and Tubbsy first introduced it back in season 1 of the competition, and I thought that was crazy. But what Commando was doing, he's slowly bringing that genre back, and not many people use moving CS:GO anymore, and Commando's one of the few people that still knows how to use CS:GO, the moving CS:GO style, super effectively. Just absolutely awesome job from Commando all the way through.
Absolutely. All right, Commando, listen to me carefully. Even though you're not the best singer in this competition point-wise, you did one thing the best in my book, which I believe is the most important. The actual composition of the sync, particularly in that first drop. Every single weapon, every single sound, every single ult was synced to perfection. I'm marveling at how you managed to have this vision or just sense of where every single gun or sound should go. If anything, I would actually genuinely listen to this on the road as an actual track. So that first drop, I believe, was probably one of the best in this entire competition. So just well done. Well done. You get an applause from me, man. But enough.
An applause for me too, man. Yay.
Exactly, but enough with my fanboying. Let's get down to it. Your visual effects were very on point. Cinematics were a twist from the norm, so I very much enjoyed that. One small nitpicky thing I would have to say was that your sheathing sound in the beginning, where he says, where Genji says hammer or something, was way too loud. So that was just the one flaw I managed to catch. And the thing I like you did particularly that I want other people to learn for was the shaking effect. The thing that you did specially on this was the fact that it was barely noticeable. So it was minute, yet it made the sync look dynamic and just animated and alive. So this is how I wish everyone else used the shaking effect, but you did it perfectly. You just used all those effects perfectly, so great job.
And looking at what some of the other judges said, in particular, TVG actually coming in with a 8.9 on the sync, and he said, just pleasing to watch, which was fucking fantastic wording there. I love that. And then looking at what Nerdbox was saying, he said, accuracy was good, gun choice is very good, good technical skill throughout. Mixing issues were prevalent throughout and really held back the sync a little bit, but he did say also that the middle section at 2 minutes was definitely the highlight and the strongest part. And I particularly just loved the CS:GO part, and that was my favorite part in this. And then also the Overwatch part in the beginning, just amazing, just beautiful. And the audio bouncing was pretty good on this sync as well. That's another thing that when you do multi-games like this, especially when you do the split screen of Overwatch and Fallout, it's really hard for games like that to really work together if you don't know how to balance the audio correctly. But Commando you can take two games that don't completely match each other, but make it balance perfectly. It was just beautiful.
Amazing.
Loved it, Commando. Good fucking shit, man. Love you, Commando. And you got a great shot to win, so you got this, Commando. Keep it going, man.
That's our dancing banana man in a suit.
Yeah, we got to see the banana man in the suit for the finale, man, if you make it. I'd love to see that. I mean, just as a little bonus. I mean, obviously focus on the sync, but maybe add that at some point.
Extra point from me.
Jesus,
I didn't say anything.
Jesus Christ, man. All right, so moving on to the man who finished third place. Finishing at third with a 47.5, we have Jarail, the Russian sinker, and this arrow cord package, man. God damn, he went hard. And the Warrior of the Night piece in the very beginning, dude. Holy shit, that reminds me of the PGS sync back in season 1, man. Just absolutely phenomenal. And the battlefield weapons fit excellent with this song. And the guns just fit great with whatever. Going with the classic songs here.
Oh, wait.
Arrow chord songs are really big.
Can you say that one more time? Your mic cut off for that.
Okay, well, I'll just start it over. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So the arrow cord package that Jarail brought into this sync, holy shit, it was good. I loved it. The Warrior of the Night piece, the battlefield, mixing that in with Warrior of the Night, and how accurate this is and how well the guns matched up with this song. fucking fantastic, man. I loved it. And just how good and how fast and furious this sync was pretty much all the way through. And just the beginning for sure was my favorite part in this sync. It was just beautifully done. And then when we move on to the second song in this mix, which was Break Them, which was the 32-second, which started the 32-second marker. That was pretty cool, and great use of the sprays as well. Not overusing the EM1 once again, but just excellent usage of the sprays, which is really hard to do in Advanced Warfare for a good chunk of people. And then for the Black Ops 3 portion, he did the classic Surface song, and very good accuracy on that one. And then in the fourth song, he decided to add in Mechanical Mayhem, going with the Modern Warfare 2.
My favorite.
Very classic. This was classic. This reminds me of the TBG Classic sync, man. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Throwing sounds were great. Really good plus for that. Very good spray usage as well. And then when we go on to the Monster, which was, I believe, Doom 3. I'm not sure if that was Doom 3 or
Doom.
not. Yeah, it looked like Doom to me, but very nice Doom sync, and not many people really utilize Doom, and I really feel like a lot more people should utilize Doom, and Jarrell did a great job with the Doom part. And then when we go to the sixth song, which I believe it was Secret, I think that was that song there, and then he went in and did, I believe it was Battlefield 4 again. No, that's Rainbow Six Siege, excuse me. Why did I think it was Battlefield? Goddamn, I'm terrible when it comes to reading the layouts, but Rainbow Six Siege was... It was simple but yet effective on that approach there. But then when we went into the final song at the 2:30 marker, he did Warfare, which was, he actually did Modern Warfare 3 for that. But just the multi-game sync, matching that up with the arrow chord package, this was just textbook classic sync. Just absolutely awesome. I love that he implemented all of those arrow chord songs, man. It reminded me of all the old school syncs that used to always use arrow chord songs, man. This is like arrow chord songs are so popular for
arrow chord arrow chord songs are one of the classics, the must-dos of syncing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and a lot of people seem to underestimate arrow chord songs nowadays, but if you do them right, just like Jarrell did, just, oh my god, just textbook, man. Just fucking textbook.
Amazing.
Loved it. Great job from Jarrell, and this is his best sync that I've ever seen so far. For sure. The text, and also as a final note, the text was pretty cool. A nice usage of the text, but for sure, Warrior of the Night. I fucking love that song. Anybody that sings Warrior of the Night, they go fucking berserk. That's such a cool song. I love it.
You're fanboying over that now, are you?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit. I'm rooting for you, Jarrell. No, for real. I'm actually rooting for him, man. He's got a great shot to win now, so go get him, Jarrell. You got this, man.
Jarrell. My Sika Bliat for Jarrell.
My Sika Bliat.
My Sika Bliat. First of all, you've got one of my favorite logos hands down. It's not distracting, but it's such a cool addition to the sync. You notice how the J in his name just happens to go along with the waveforms of the sync, but in a unique way. So it's not just a typical waveform, but it's actually animated and it goes along. So I very much enjoy your logo. Keep it up, man. But you did Arrow Chord, one of my favorite producers back then, and you managed to get... The thing I liked about your syncs is that you managed to get every single note in his songs down to the smallest of clicks, in which your attention to detail of songs is simply something to be envied. Your sprays were flawless, especially during the Mechanical Mayhem part, and personally, I haven't heard a better version of Mechanical Mayhem. You easily outdid me and TVG. And probably the best Mechanical Mayhem ever done. One criticism I do have is the fact your Doom part. It could have had better volume balancing since some of the guns were just way too loud and overpowered some of the others, but flawless in every other regard. And just bear in mind, Jarrell, you missed second place by 0.9 points, but you show a lot of promise, so make me proud.
And I have to say, looking at what the rest of the judges have said, TBG said he loved it, and then he put a nice little smiley face on there. He said the CC could be improved just a little bit. I mean, I would agree with that. Maybe work on the CC just a tad. I mean, nothing really too special with the... I mean, personally, I thought the CC was still pretty good, but I mean, he could make it even better than that. But I think he's just holding back right now to try to use up the CC in the later stages of the game. And then what Nerdbox is saying about Jarrell's sync, he said very strong start on the sync, especially the Battlefield part, and I definitely agree with that. Accuracy is high, gun choice is okay. The Doom section had a little bit of clipping distortion, and the mixing is very high. And he also said the Modern Warfare 3 selection, very good. And then he also said that the AW section had a little bit on the lower mix, and the transitions were okay, and there was a little bit of jarring parts in the sync. So if you had Jerail, according to Nerdbox, if Jerail can clean up just a tad bit more as well, maybe to get some of the mixing to make sure it's balanced, to make sure, especially the Doom part, I'd say in particular, the clipping distortion and all that, if you could fix that up, he's got himself in really good shape. And this guy could fight for a fucking title, baby. Make them Russians proud, boy. You got this, man. But I have to say, though, just as a whole, all those Russian sinkers, the Russian sinkers in this competition really put out the best out of a lot of those other countries out there so far, man. They've really showed improvement as the years went on, and just absolutely crazy from all those Russian sinkers out there. Not to take away from all the other sinkers out there, like the Vietnamese guys that are made it into the next round, and the American sinkers and European guys. But I have to say that Russian sinkers in particular have been improving bit by bit by bit by bit each and every year, man. So keep it up, man. Great job, guys.
Jerail, my boy. Keep it up.
All right, so now we're going to be going into the top two. But before we actually mention who the top two are, I do want to mention that we now have our field of 24 that's ready to be going into round number 2. So from Jerail, who finished in 3rd place, all the way down to Reese Gunsync or Reese GS, those guys are going to be in round number 2. And we'll get into the whole layout of that later. But these top 2 sinkers that we're about to name, these 2 guys have now officially made it into the finale. And the way that this competition is working this year, it's going to be a little bit different than last year. 1st and 2nd place will get an automatic slot into the finale to show that going super hard in the beginning, and if you do it right and you get in those top 2 positions, it becomes rewarding. So that's what we're introducing into this competition. And these 2 guys are going to get a slot into the finale. And
so you guys enjoy your month vacation. You deserved it.
So finishing off with 48.4 points. And this man is up for the most improved sinker award of the year compared to where he finished last year.
Mm-hmm.
We have Blue Leaf. My God, man, just I don't even know what to say, man. I
didn't know he was this good. I knew he was good, but man, not this good.
Blue Leaf is showing why he wants to win, man. He's got a great shot at winning this competition, and we want to break down this thing bit by bit, man, just because of how good this sync was. The length of it, I really loved that he went for the 7-minute approach with this sync. Most sinkers did not go with the 7-minute approach.
Honestly, I thought it was a bit on the long side.
Yeah, no, I will say it's on the long side, but for the 7 minutes that he put in there, he made every single minute count, man. And that's what I loved about this sync. And usually 7 minutes is definitely the cap for how long you want like a sync. Anything more than like 7-8 minutes is a little bit on the too long side, at least for my view. But I think 7 minutes is good for me, for if you want like a long-term sync. And this was a mashup as well, so
personally, you also have to, just for advice for the viewers, I personally believe that 5 minutes is the upper limit. So it just comes down to like personal opinion, but like just for a PSA out there, 5 minutes is probably a safe cutoff point.
Yeah, although 7 minutes is 7 minutes for me is like the safe cut, but like I said, it's personal opinion. But yeah, I'd say for the longer side, 5 to 7 minutes is the long side. But breaking down this guy's sync, great accuracy throughout. The Overwatch sync in the beginning, great weapons usage, and then really interesting transition to, is that Roblox he used? I'm not sure.
That's not Roblox. I know that game. That is Pixel Gun 3D. I used to play that all the time when I was a kid.
Wow. I have to say, this is the only Blue's the only person that actually used that game too.
That brought back nostalgia. I mean, they destroyed the game through like currencies and micro DLCs, but still done expertly.
Yeah, this Blue actually did a great job with this thing. There wasn't really a lot going on in that particular part, but it was more of the simple and effective approach, and the weapon sounded really good with that when he transitioned into that part. And I have to say, the CCs were quite nice on this as well. But then at the 2-minute marker, transitioning to Black Ops 3. This is where he really shows how powerful he is as a sinker. Just by starting it off, I love the side-by-side boxes that he has. with the other Black Ops 3 weapons in there. Very strong CC throughout. And then when the drop comes around at around the 230 marker, I mean, I know that the drop doesn't really have the fastest of speeds or anything like that. And the build-up's a little bit overhyped with this particular song. Not Blue Leaf's fault or anything, but that's just how the song goes. But very nice accuracy in this part, and very good on the build-up, very good on the drop, good weapons usage, great use of the throwing C4. I really love that. That was quite nice, and the reloading was definitely something that was quite nice as well. The advanced warfare then came up at around the I believe it was the 336 marker. And there was a little bit of disable resample there that I noticed. Just a little heads up there. Make sure to disable your fucking resample. But the EM1 usage was great in this, and he did use the EM1s quite a bit, but I really love the usage that he had there. It was nice and fast, but it fit in with the song quite well, and I really liked it. And he also used the sprays to help support with that, like the big MG sprays, and also some of the assault rifles, and also the punch was quite a nice usage that he added to it as well. And then my favorite part, towards the end, when he got to the drop at the second Overwatch setting, I love the CC to start off. By the way, very cool CC with the red like that, and how the weapons kind of glow green like that. It was a really cool touch. I mean, I'm not sure if he did that by accident or if he actually engineered it to look like that. That looks really spooky, but really cool. And the way that the drop came up, just phenomenal. Everything just fit in so well, and the weapons and the vocal syncing, just beautiful. Outstanding work from Blue. You're going to the finale, good sir, and you're gonna have a chance to fight for a title.
Very proud of you, Blue. Great job. And Jesus, you started off strong with the Overwatch part. But the thing is, I've never seen Pixel Gun sing like you quite did. I've seen a couple of them on YouTube, but they're all just terrible. But somehow you managed to integrate the different unique sounds of Pixel Gun. Just make it work, man. Nice job. Nice job. It just brings back nostalgia. And the visual effects you did, the swiping of the video up and down to the mirror effects, that was also an amazing, so nice touch on that too. And the visual effects weren't overdone, so it wasn't distracting. And also, I'd like to compliment your Black Ops 3 part. The composition and volume mixing of this part was very good. Except for the fact that I felt like I was watching it in the middle of the force with the quality turned all the way down. It was like 360 like PP quality, dude. I don't know. I personally didn't like that visual effect, those visual effects, but I guess some people did. So I guess it turns out to personal opinion. Now, I do believe that the advanced warfare part was good, and it actually wasn't that boring, but will probably be the last time in this video I say this. Stop using the EM1.
Oh, come on, man. It wasn't that bad. I mean, the EM1 usage was good in this video, too. I mean, I know a lot of people complain, and they rightfully so. They complain that the EM1 usage is overdone. But once again, it's a matter of how you, in my personal opinion, it's how you match the EM1 with the song and not overdo it, and then at the same time, not overdoing it.
I suppose you have a point. Yeah, that's true.
I thought that Blue matched it up good, and also, if you think about this as well, he had a lot of supporting sprays in there as well to actually help indicate that he's not trying to overuse the EM1. So I personally can't complain about the EM1 usage there. I thought it was quite good, the EM1s, and it was used right, used effectively, and then he had good supporting sprays in the background. And looking at, we're actually going to have, Selflex actually said something about this sync as well. He said that last Apollo song was intense. Loved it. And rightfully so, man. That part of the sync was just beautiful. Definitely the highlight of the sync.
I also agree. Because that was the redeeming moment for you. That was what brought my score for you up to a high 8, honestly. So I just want to tell you that in the end, one of my criticisms I would like to say that your pitch shifting of the Bastion part again wasn't. The intonation shifting was good, but it wasn't necessarily on key. So if you could manage to find the on key, I would have probably given this sync probably a high 9 since it was good. But the wacky visual effects on the screens was simply amazing. Honestly, I could have watched your Overwatch part all day. And if you cut out a few minutes of the songs from like a couple of the scenes which you weren't that strong, you didn't have to upload 7 minutes. You could have uploaded 4 and you could have gotten the same amazing score, because some of those 4 minutes were like not worthy. But anyway, congratulations on your second place, man. You definitely deserve it.
And one more little bit of advice coming in from the man, Nerdbox. He is going to say the mix was good, accuracy was good, couple of hiccups here and there, not too bad. Sync was a tad bit long, but the sections were short enough to stop boredom settling in, as Nerdbox would say. Very nice part there. And then he also said astronaut section with Genji and Zen was a fantastic way to use the space. And he said minor issues pop up throughout and disappear quickly. So the issues were, it's more so like if you're very experienced as a syncer, you would maybe notice some of these issues, mostly maybe from like audio, like I would say the mixing, like you were saying. If he fixes that and touches that up, he can win this competition, man. And and this would be a huge upset for everybody else trying to compete in there. And Blue Leaf can pull the upset of the ages if he wins this competition, man. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The round 1 winner.
You know who you are.
Kings of Sync Season 4 with a grand total of 53.1 points from the great land of New Zealand. It is Jabber Turtle.
With 53.1 points, a 5-point gap.
Everybody. God damn. He destroyed second. I mean, not to take away from Blue, but Jabber just ran away with first place in that first competition, man. To be fair, though, he was probably going the hardest out of everybody this first round to try to get into the finale. And
you can definitely see it in the judges' score, because he has the most consistently highest points out of everyone else, because everyone else has a 6 or a 7. Even the high tier syncs have that in their scores, but not Jabber. No, his lowest score is an 8, considering how hard the judges are this year. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was just great consistency throughout. And now we're going to be diving into the Dovahkiin sync. That was the name of the song, I believe, which is a really cool, unique song that he used. Definitely something different compared to everybody else. And first off, love the cinematics in the beginning, just to kind of add to the story of the sync a little bit. Never really played Skyrim that much, but the fact that he added Skyrim as a whole, quite cool, just to kind of add to the visuals of the game. So now we're moving on to the actual, and also another note that I want to add in as well before we actually dive into this. This is the only sync that was submitted that's actually watchable in 4K. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed that or not.
That's a beefy computer.
That's a hell of a beefy computer, Jabber. That's fucking amazing. But anyways, diving into the sync itself, just beautiful throughout. Every single weapon, in my personal opinion, was just used perfectly. And I would argue there was a bit of a fast transition throughout all of the games, which maybe was the only issue that I had. But it was definitely a different way of presenting the game, or presenting the sync, which was definitely cool. And I really loved just the visual quality of every single clip was just beautiful. Transition text is beautiful. Love the background of the trees as well when he transitions into the drop. Sprays from Rainbow Six Siege were great. The sprays from all the games were good. The reload sounds, the supporting roles of all the guns, and all the cool effects that he decided to play around with. The 1:15-minute marker in particular, he used the rolling tile effect, and I thought that was really cool. And you can even see this. I was gonna say, you could even see the small, tiny screen on the top left, the supporting weapon roll, just also on that tile, like a really small tile, which is really cool. And I wonder how much that edit destroyed Jabber's computer, unless it's just Jabber has a godly computer where
probably has
all
a
those
supercomputer at this point.
It's fucking beefy, man. All those tiles, man, that's the most tiles I've ever seen in one screen. That's ridiculous. But then we transition over to the second part of this, where he goes through CSGO, Fallout 4, Black Ops, and not to mention, this guy used 19 games. 19 games! It's ridiculous. How do you do that? That's amazing.
That takes a skill.
And not to mention, a couple of people in the comments, one person in particular was saying that he's probably going to use 30 games for when he gets into the finale or something ridiculous.
Is there even that many first-person shooters? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see. That might be a challenge, but anyways, continuing with the sync, just the sprays throughout the entire sync were great. He actually used Call of Duty Ghost in this as well. One of the few, actually the only syncer I've seen that's actually used Call of Duty Ghost.
That game still exists? What?
Yeah, in the past, we've really seen Call of Duty Ghost as one of the games that people were to use. Like Lewis Tech Games used it back in Season 2, and several others. And Jabber was the only person to use Call of Duty Ghosts in this competition as well. But just absolutely phenomenal all the way through, man. Text is great, once again, going through. And then Black Ops 3 usage is good. Overwatch vocals were good. The Titanfall 2 was used super effectively as well. And honestly, no complaints with this sync, man. Just no complaints. I just didn't want it to end, man. I wanted it to at least be maybe another minute more. Although, at the same time, I just thought it was the ideal, perfect length. And congratulations, Jabber. You're going to the finale, my friend, and you got a great shot at winning this, man. For setting a great pace for the and I have to say, Jabber going fast and furious early compared to everybody else that's just trying to pace themselves. Jabber set the bar, and he set it pretty fucking high, man. I don't know how the hell somebody else is going to jump over this. This is going to be crazy. Somebody's going to have to really go back to the drawing board if they want to beat this sync and beat Jabber in the finale. Because Jabber's going to have an extra month along with Blue to plan out how to approach the finale now, which is the huge advantage that him and Blue are going to have. So absolutely well done from Jabber. Great work, man.
Now this is a sync worthy of first place. Your cinematics in the beginning. One of the most subtle things that can impact the score of a sync massively, but most people don't realize, is the mood, setting, and tone of the sync. The cinematics in the beginning were amazing at setting in the mood. Even though there wasn't any actual guns going on, it was just one giant movie played. Now, I normally don't like long intros, but this fit in perfectly well in hyping me up. Your entire sync was the entire first minute was just a massive buildup, and I actually got excited in my chair watching this sync. Like, I was getting so pumped into watching the drop, and admittedly, the beginning of the drop was a bit of a letdown since I thought the sprays were a little too quiet, but you quickly made up for it later on in the sync where every single note was just synced so well on comparison to what Commando did on his first drop for the Overwatch. Your visual effects were simply amazing. The lyrics perfectly encapsulated the mood. You just knew where every single gun went like a visionary, man. I don't know, you have some special skill and talent here. Just keep on pushing it. Anyways, if you submitted this last year, who knows? Maybe you would be the one who's judging me. Who knows? Maybe
that would be crazy, man. I think I'll be honest with you. I think this sync, if this was pitted up against you last year, Jabber would have had a chance to beat you, man.
Yeah.
Last year, that's just like, and this is just round one. How hard is Jabber to go in the finale? That's gonna be the real question, man.
Freaking knows.
I can't wait, man.
But
this guy just has full of surprises, man.
But period, awesome. Jabber, you are among the legends of multi-game syncing. Not everyone can do what you have done, but you have that skill. So congratulations. You have a gift, my friend. You have a gift.
And finally, looking at words of Nerdbox, man. Nerdbox said, absolutely fucking excellent. That was quote-unquote the exact words he said. He also said, intro set up a theme, sync delivered, effects were clean, flowed well, and added a lot of value. And he said BFG caused clipping distortion, and I believe BFG, I'm not sure what he means by BFG. I mean, I'll have to ask Nerdbox about that.
Go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Topography was good. Mix was a bit crowded in the beginning, and I voice cracked again. Fuck me. Sprays lost a lot of their mids and lows when sped up at that degree, and I think he was talking about the Rainbow Six Siege sprays in particular.
Yeah.
He said the gun choice was good. Accuracy was very good. Watch that since it makes that sounds quite tiny. That's I think he's talking about gun sounds in particular there, but just fucking phenomenal, man. Holy shit, man. Just
what a way to end round one, don't you think?
Oh, and also Nerdbox mentioned one last comment. He said, I think I have a fetish for dragons now.
Oh.
Just to add to the final part of this. And also, he said, very professional, very well. Congratulations to Jabber finishing first place. Him and Blue moving on.
You two are on to the final round.
All right, so with that, that was our official order of all the gun sinks and everybody in it. And before we make the next direction here, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that submitted a sink and all the competitors. Yeah. All of you guys went hard. All of you guys went hard, and you all did a great job, man. Every single competitor from first to last, just fantastic job. And yes, even Troll Endis, great job, guys. Just absolutely cool sinks to watch, man. And I know I've been kind of away from gun sinks for a while. I feel like I'm getting back into it now. Just looking at this competition, man. Just how cool all these sinks were, and the visual art that everyone did in this sink. So with that, we're just going to explain what's going to be going down for round number 2. So this would go along with the sinkers that finished in 3rd through 26th, and this would go for Chirail, Commando Derp, Turtle, High Ham, Tobsy, Magnificent Quality, Keen Falcon Gaming, Strum Down, Husel, Dalbow 13, Mini Ghost, Explorer, Gunsink, Shadow Gamer, Kuda Mayaki, Kelvin PC, Shark, Mr. Kelmeister, Hoang, Music Gamer, Light Name VN, Joni What, Curtis, Dover and Yak, Aquarius Gaming, and Reese Gun Sink. Those 24 sinkers will be competing in round number 2. And when is the deadline, Dr. Jaden? Do you have a deadline yet?
We will announce it officially on the channel and link on the description or into the Gunsink Lounge. There will also be a link to the description for that. And to those of you who haven't joined the Gunsink Lounge yet, make sure you join so you can get the latest updates and news about the Kings of Sink competition. But let's go over the basic format of round 2. So it will be placed into 4 groups, 6 people in each group, and within that group, you will be competing for the top 2 position in order to move on to the next round. So how this will work is that Drail, Commando, Turtle, and High Ham, since they are the top 4 sinkers, they are power protected against each other, so they will all be in different groups. This will also apply to the next 4, Tobsy, Magnificent Quality, Keen Falcon, and Sturm Down. You will also be power protected against each other, meaning that all 4 of you will be separated into different groups. This will keep on going on until we get to all 24 sinkers into their individual respected groups of 4. Now,
well, it's actually going to be groups of
6.
Groups of 6. So
yeah,
it comes out, so you'll probably see it on screen. So then you can see who's in round 2 and who is up against who.
I'm looking forward to it, Escape.
It's going to be fun looking at these groups that we see on screen, man. It's going to be crazy, man. Round 2 is going to be so crazy. And each of these 26 guys have great skill levels. They're pretty balanced skill levels, not off by much. And it's anybody's game right now. Anybody's fucking game, dude. Any one of those sinkers have a shot to join Blue Leaf and Jabber in the finale. And it's going to be a 10-sinker finale, which is going to be absolutely crazy. It'll remind me just like Season 2, man, when we get there. But just absolutely cool. But from all of us at Kings of Sinks, from me and Dr. Jaden, we wanted to say thank you.
And good luck.
All the people watching, and great sinks from everybody, and good luck to all the sinkers out there. Kick some fucking ass, baby, and
may the best sinker win. I'm Dr. Jaden.
And I'm Escape the 4Z.
Signing off.
Sayonara, bitches.
Later.